hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's going on? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I know you probably missed me last week, but I'm down. I'm here. I'm back at it again. Let's go. First Formation, morning sports talk. So come on and fall in with your man, Trey the Commish. And we got plenty to talk about. Like, it's crazy right now in sports. This is that sweet spot when it comes down to sports. This is that sweet spot for me when I look at it. You got WNBA finals going in. We're going to talk about that a little bit. The hunt for October is here. They have already in the second round with the National League, the division championships. The division series going on. You got college football full swing. NFL in this fifth week. NBA is getting ready to get started up as they got games going on. So it's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful day to sit up and be talking about sports. Have you when it comes down to it. So of course, like I said, to be engaging in just about anything. Where do I start? Where do I begin? Of course, you know what? First, I want to shout out. I had an opportunity to go. If some of y'all got a chance to view, had a chance to go and check out the Fort Sam Houston Rangers and the Lackland Air Force Base Warhawks this past weekend. Wasn't a bad game. Of course, some grit and grind there. I talked with Coach Justin at the end of it, and he basically imparted, saying they were kind of shorthanded, but they still put up a fight. However, they did fall short to Lackland. I think the score was 76 to. I have to go back and check the score. I don't want to give the wrong score, but I won't say he conceded. What he did do is definitely he took out his starters at some point and allowed the other players to get some burn to see what they had. Lackland stayed ahead, sharp shooting down the stretch. A couple of miscues on defenses, leaving open lanes and stuff like that. But and then of course turnovers led to the undoing for the most part in that game. But of course it'll be back, I think, this weekend as they're going to face off. Fort Cavazos is traveling down I-10, I-35 to meet up in Fort Sam Houston, another exhibition game. So should be in the building for that. They're going to see how that goes. Any case, so of course, nationally, when we talk about sports, you have a bunch of different things. Definitely one thing that took place, as we know, the WNBA season is coming to its close, and its only way it's going to end up closing is in-state is the completion of the championship series, which now currently pits the two, as they was coined, super teams against each other, as that is the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. Now, interesting, it's interesting when you look at it, because in-state is there has not been. These are two teams that was on a collision course from the beginning of sorts when you look at it. And that collision course was that once they started to put together, Breanna Stewart left the Seattle Storm to end up becoming Breanna Stewart. What's good, Snick? What's going on, man?
What's up with it, man?
What's going on, bro? So as I say, these two teams had a collision course initially. When you look at it, when one team with Brianna Stewart, of course, left the Seattle Storm to go east to play with New York, as they already had Jonquel Jones there in free agency, as well as Rena Enescu, who they had brung in, a couple of other. Courtney Vandersloot they brung in, and so they built a squad at the beginning of the season. As we all know, of course, Asia Wilson was already in with Las Vegas. Kelsey Plum, Kelsey Gray, Jackie Young was already there. Of course, the what was the biggest acquisition was them acquiring Candace Parker, which was expected to be crazy. Of course, Candace has been out the whole season with injury, but the Aces have kept rolling along. So here we are. They are the number one seed facing off against of course, as stated, New York Liberty, and now they're in position, but to win two more games and be crowned the first back-to-back champion since 2001-2002 season, in which Candace Parker and the Los Angeles Sparks were able to pull off that feat. Last night, of course, the Aces getting the dub with the score of it was a close game for 3 quarters for the most part until the Las Vegas Aces blew the game open. End up winning by the score of 99-82. Plenty of stars in the building. Mark Wahlberg, Cynthia Swoops, LeBron James, and of course, no other than NFL's GOAT and Tom Brady, as he, of course, is a minority owner in the team. It was said that Kelsey Plum and Tom Brady clowned around as Kelsey, as she dropped 26 points last night, as well as Jackie Young, 26 points apiece, 20 points from Asia Wilson. 20 points from Kelsey Gray, and then 19 points from Asia Wilson in their victory. She finally told them it's about time that it's about effing time that you got here. So they joked around and stuff like that, which she continued to talk about. It's great to have him, being that he is a supporter of women's sports, being that he has daughters and nieces that play women's sports as well. So to have someone as an advocate for that, to be your owner, is a gracious time. So, of course, they play game 2 Wednesday in Las Vegas, and then game 3 and game 4, if needed, will be played in New York. And then, of course, if it all comes down to a tie series, the game 5 will be played back in Las Vegas, as they continue to compete for that back-to-back championship. For the Liberties, it's their first trip back to the championship since 2003. So they've been gone for 20 years from this. So you got to tell the two cities, interestingly enough. Cornelius, you've been checking out the women's round ball.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a more competitive game 1.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would have been more competitive because the Liberty, they made all the hype about the Liberty
Mm-hmm.
with all the moves that they made, but it looked like the Aces. The Aces remind me of the old Houston Comets, man. It's gonna be hard to shut them down. When it was Swoops,
Oops,
Cooper,
Thompson,
and
and
Thompson. You just
Cooper, yeah. Mm-hmm.
the list just goes on and on with that squad. So what New York gonna have to do is, man, New York gonna have to figure out a way to play better defense down the stretches. Like because they was close for a little while, but then it was over. It was over when they couldn't stop that 3-point shot. Like, hey, you got to get up on them. You got to get in their face. You can't give them wide open shots, and then you can see the disappointment when those shots start falling, and then now you jumping at the 3, and then they just pass the ball down low on you. It was just like, hey, you can't give up in a. I don't think you can give up in a championship game. They got to figure that out. I don't know what they're gonna do though, because it's too much firepower on on the Aces.
Well, so I definitely think that was all there. Like you said, it's an unfortunate situation right now for them, but they got some. They have some oomph in them. Of course, like I said, Sabrina. Before Brianna Stewart, who is currently she's the reigning MVP, as she won the MVP this year. But of course, the last time that Asia Wilson felt like she was passed over for a award that she was deserving, she went ham in the situation. She ended up winning an NBA championship. And so now you put her back in that same element. And then, of course, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, you still have, like I said, Brianna Stewart, who before mentioned. You still got Sabrina Ionescu, who is a hot shooter. When she gets hot, she gets hot. Although she only had 7 points last night, but I don't think that the moment is going to be too big for her, and we still have something to see in them. It's like you said, just a wonder of when it'll be. Are they going to allow the Aces to dominate and take a 2-0 series with the likelihood of their sweeping them on their home court, or do they come back with a fight? Or do we have NBA script writers, like, you know, saying, although we know the the SGA is going, is the pen in the WNBA nice? Like, it's a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? So as I've been looking at side-eyeing some things. It's like these scripts, you know, saying that NFL, they ain't come up. I look at it, things come from a place. And when you look at it, taking consideration the commercials and stuff about script writing and all that type of stuff, I wonder what's the validity to it. But in any case, I digress, and we will see, of course, like I said, game 2 of the WNBA finals will be Wednesday out of Las Vegas. So just tap in. There's no sports going on there. Well, it might be major league sports going on, as that's our next topic. But we can see, of course, this weekend marked the division series in the MLB. Saturday, Los Angeles Dodgers faced off with the Diamondbacks in the likely sorts. 11-2 throttling was the end state, as the Diamondbacks, who happened to squeak in as a number 6 seed or number 5 seed out of the wild card into the division series, 11-2 over the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw had a dismal showing, being down 9, allowing 9 runs in the first quarter, in the first inning. I'm sorry, wasn't good. Like I said, they fall, and they 1-0 to the Arizona as they take the 1-0 lead. The Texas Rangers and the Baltimore Orioles faced off. The Rangers was able to pull off a 3-2 win to take their 1-0 lead. In the East, of course, or the AL, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves faced off. Phillies with a shutout 3-0 to take their 1 series lead. And of course, interestingly enough, the Minnesota Twins and the Houston Astros, as the talk was, we want the Astros, we want Houston. Minnesota got Houston in state, a 6-4 loss as the Astros, reigning champions, as though I have a soft spot, a sore spot for the Astros when it comes to World Series and the playoffs. The Astros take a 6-4 victory to a 1-0 series lead initially on Saturday. Yesterday, Houston was the Minnesota Twins was able to return the favor with a 6-point dub, being not with a 6-2 win over the Astros. Well, to even the series at 1-1, the Rangers and Orioles faced off, in which the Rangers now up 2-0 in their series as they got an 11-8 victory. So, of course, that leaves today coming down as the Diamondbacks face off against the Dodgers, with the Dodgers looking for an opportunity to tie that series 1-1, and the Phillies face off with the Braves, in which we see, can the Braves hold off a 2-game deficit in this series, or do they tie it up tonight? First and foremost, look, where's your loyalties lie when it comes to the hardball? Or are you Houston Astros or the Braves? Where you at with it?
Everybody know I'm a Yankee fan.
Oh yeah, correct. You are. Yeah, that's
I'm a
right.
Yankee fan. So really, the Stros. I thought the Orioles because because of the way that they went from probably one of the worst teams ever last season to this
Mm-hmm.
season. I thought they had a good chance of winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Stros win it again, because lately the Stros, in recent years, since the Stros moved to the AL, they've been a different team. I lived in Houston most of my life, so I can tell you, like, when they were in the National League, they weren't these Stros that we see in the American League. They
Uh-huh.
weren't these Stros. So I still think the Stros got a good chance of winning it again. Um, I thought it was actually my pick. Like I said, it was going to be a toss up with the Stros and the Orioles. But I look
Hmm.
at probably gonna be Sproles. I think Sproles got a good chance of taking it because I think they have everything on their team. And I am a little partial to the Dusty Baker thing, man. It's good to see him so many years in baseball finally getting his shine,
Uh-huh.
and finally reaching the top of that, and finally reaching the top. But on the other side, the NL, when the Dodgers go, I just say, man, when the Dodgers go get over the hump, like the Dodgers have one of the best teams. Well, for the I don't know for the past 7 years
Five.
or so,
Yeah, they've
they
been very
know.
dominant. It's like, believe me, I sit and watch it. Like, okay, we got one with the COVID season where we got the World Series during that time frame, and we was robbed of a parade due COVID. The Lakers and the Dodgers both was robbed of a parade during because of the COVID situation. And then here we go. We look for, saying, a great showing, thinking like, okay, we're still dominant. And yes, we're still dominant, but you can't see, of course, like I said, sore spot with the quote unquote cheating that they said that the Braves on the not the Rockets, the Astros done during the fall that year or the year before. And so that ever since that, it seems like we had the year when we had Yu Darvish, and he went out and didn't produce as what we paid him to do it. And then so it's so with the Astros, it's been that you got random muck on by the Braves. It's like we keep on putting ourselves in these positions. We do all this to what go even get ran out in the division series or the divisional series, the World Series, and it's like this is ridiculous. Why pay the money to put in perspective? It's like, why are we even playing around with it? Like the ideal is that you're gonna get our hands on what's his name from the Angels,
Are you talking so Otani?
Otani. Yeah, the idea was like, saying Otani's going to be a free agent this year, and like, okay, saying, of course, we know anything in LA is always glitz and glamour, where it looks like, okay, they're going to get these big names to come because it's a huge money market, and usually some of the teams are actually good or have something about themselves. But it's like we do that just for what? I mean, technically, Otani's already in LA. I mean, of course, there's nothing bigger than the Dodgers compared to the Angels, but the Angels might do what they got to do to keep him, or Otani might be like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take my skill set up the street, and we'll see how that goes. So we hopefully the Dodgers, like you said, you are looking at the Stros. I still have faith in my Dodgers, and I hope they're able to pull it off. But instead is we got to do something. We can't continue with the same old, same old. Kershaw, that was just one game, bruh. You got many more. If we can continue to win, you got many more in which you can sit up and rectify that and
I
probably
don't
pull
know.
one off.
The Diamondbacks surprised me. They surprised me when they beat the Brewers
The
in the
Brewers.
wild card. I didn't
Hmm.
expect them to beat the Brewers, but the Diamondbacks, I don't know. They showing that hey, you can like the thing I like about baseball is that like it has the more parity, if you want to call it, or whatever, as far as lower seeds being able to come out of nowhere and get on a hot streak. Like all it takes is pitching and good bats at times, to make the whole difference. Like, and that's been the problem with the Yankees. The Yankees are like you said, the same thing with the Dodgers. They spend a whole lot of money, but you're not getting a whole lot back. And the problem been pitching. I think the Dodgers. I think that they ride with Kershaw, guys like Kershaw, too long as far as not seeing. Hey, we got to get other pitchers in the mix. We got to get other pitchers because they got the bats, they got the players. Mookie Betts is one of my favorite players, by the way, in
Yeah,
baseball.
yeah.
Um, I didn't like him when he was a Boston Red Sox, just because that rivalry right there.
Rivalry
But
with the
uh,
Yankees.
you
Yeah,
know, but LA, yeah, but he can still play. I think the Dodgers got a good team. I just don't know what it's gonna take for them to win it all, especially when it comes down to the pitching. Like they lean on certain pitchers too much,
yeah.
in my opinion.
And we were kind of at sorts. Like, of course, it was ideally you bring in Freddie Freeman. You have Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts competing for NL Player of the Year. So you know, what I'm saying that's saying you want that in your clubhouse. But then, of course, like you say, you got Kershaw. He came back from the injury, and we then you have Rojas. But of course, Urias, but he's having his own internal problems from a domestic way. So it's like it's a bunch of things, and it just comes down like I think it's like the glitz and the glamour also puts it in the perspective to where some people aren't in the right area, or you're just not at the right time, and that it starts to hurt from internally. So, but I hope we're able to pull it off. We say, like I said, game 2 of that series with the Diamondbacks going down tonight. And we should see how it goes. What's good, Leslie? Of course, we're going to get to that at some point. NFL talk is coming up, but we got a couple of other genres in which we're going to speak about when it comes to sports. That being the round ball, basketball is coming back. Although I know it's technically it's just preseason, a couple of games in the preseason, but of course it's back. The biggest talk seems to be now that the conversation in reference to Dane going to Milwaukee, and then all the aftermath of that has happened. The biggest question seems to be going down is who is going to be donning USA on their chest in 291 days as the Olympics is coming. That means Team USA in basketball is going to be there. We seen some bright spots last night. From Simone Biles doing her thing over the course of the weekend. So we already know what's going down with that when it comes to the Olympics. But talks is Team USA already secured supposedly the likes of LeBron James, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, I believe maybe Bam. I don't know. Bam come running it back. But the most unlikely source, in which I'm kind of on the fence about, Joel Embiid committed to Team USA for the 2024 Olympics. And of course, who are they chasing now? Who they're after, trying to get their hands? Of course, Kevin Durant, Team USA. But now who they're trying to get their hands on, in which Grant Hill was openly pursuing, the likes of Drew Holiday, which they're going at the 33-year-old Drew Holiday, but he has proved to be a defensive stalwart, 5-time All-NBA defensive team. Is it worth it going after Drew, in your opinion, Cornelius?
I think anything they can do to help that, help us out in the USA. Drew, I think you gotta consider it if you can't get, like if you can't get anybody else, you might as well go Drew. I think Drew, nah, but for real, Drew, he got game.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he's
19
not
points
playing
last
against,
year. Yeah.
as long as he's not playing against Jimmy Butler, he got game. You know, for real. So I think Drew will be a good asset with the other veterans on the squad. You got LeBron, you got KD. You're gonna need a little defense.
Mm-hmm.
You got enough offensive firepower. You're gonna need some defense. I think Joel Embiid would be a huge addition because then now you got somebody that at least will attempt to block some shots.
Rim
So you're gonna
protector.
need that. I think you're gonna need somebody on the perimeter like a Drew. Especially if Steph goes and stuff like that. You still gotta play defense. You gotta play, the other side. So I think Drew will be good.
So interesting enough, speaking of two things that comes after that, one being centers, the other being Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler pulled up to his media day. Is Jimmy Butler the new Rodman, or is he just antics? Is that what is it? What do you think? Antics, or are we seeing Jimmy Butler? If we took off our glasses and squint, are we seeing Dennis Rodman in this at this point?
I wouldn't say a Dennis Rodman, but Jimmy he is a little eccentric, and rightfully so though. Like when you're a player like Jimmy, man, nobody had no expectations. Sort of like the Rodman story when you really look at it. Nobody really had high expectations for Jimmy. Especially when he was in the Chicago days. That's why
Mm-hmm.
Chicago shipped him. But Jimmy is one of the most self-made. I won't take nothing away from all the other players and say they not self-made, but that's a self-made guy. He made himself into a star when
Hmm.
he didn't have no star power. So you got to give him a little leeway with the ethics or whatever you want to call it. But you got to give him a little leeway because he earned it. He earned to do what he does, man. Like uh, to me, Jimmy, um, I think it's fun for the like for the younger generations and stuff. Man, I think it's fun. I think it fits right in with all the styles of today. The things that's popping today or whatever. I think it's fun to to bring that element where everybody else is just so buttoned up about it.
Yeah. So of course, what I'm saying, other elements being brought in before we talk about the reference to the center. The Golden State Warriors, uh, top brass has decided to take a WNBA team. Will be another WNBA franchise added to the WNBA as they will be suiting up in Golden State. So now Golden State adds a franchise to their to their uh to their portfolio. Interestingly enough, I wonder who is going to be able to fit. Yes, of course, you know what it is. I'm finna get into that in a few seconds, Wayne. Although I feel like they did us dirty, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to definitely talk about that. The franchise, adding the franchise, of course, now, which is going to be interesting because I wonder who's going to feel that. So you see someone like the Aces, who is just a few years removed from being a brand new franchise themselves, but already doing a miraculous thing, up looking for the opportunity to be a back-to-back NBA, a WNBA Finals winner, championship. Of sorts. And when you look at it from a franchise, from a expansion situation, I don't know if there's enough players around that's out there that can be utilized. As we know, usually when expansions come out, teams this disembark and release some players that probably have a little left in the tank, and they give them up to be given to those organizations for the organization to choose from. And so, in some aspects, what could sometimes be a less than likely source, you get an opportunity to put together a pretty good team based on a bunch of veterans and young players that are available. So it's like now with this franchise possibly started again in 2025, you're going to see some of the same things in which we'll see who's going to be resub at that time. What's good, Steve, with your EAGLS comment? Don't worry. Y'all scooting by. Y'all relying on the legs of Jaden Hurts. We're gonna see how long that continues to work. Um, we them real boys. And so, additionally, like I said in round ball, talk about a center, Jared Allen, center for the Cleveland Cavaliers, is expected to be out 2 weeks as he is going through a situation with his ankle. And what is stated is that from Bickerstaff, the head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, is that it's been a lingering situation in which finally it came to a head, and they decided that we're going to go ahead, and now it's a time in which we're going to go ahead and deal with it. Two things, Cornelius. One, does it, if it's been lingering, why would you make now the time? Do you think it's just
I
been
was
this?
just about to say
Yeah,
that.
like why now? Like, what I'm saying, why not have Tech been taking care of it? But they say right now, so maybe it makes sense actually when you look at it. When you're looking at it at the beginning of the season, it's not like he's possibly going to miss the beginning of their the NBA season, as he's going to miss all this, the preseason, their 3 games, and then he's going to basically get an opportunity to maybe make it back by their first game, which is October 25th, away game, or their home game, which is October 27th.
I think you should, if it's lingering or whatever, you had a whole off season to do it. But but we seen worse. We seen the whole Scottie Pippen thing. We seen the Kawhi fiascos. You know what I'm saying, throughout the years or whatever. So you see the different players. They just had different time limits. Now maybe he didn't know it was that serious until what I'm saying, until it's time to go. Now now you're getting into the camps and all that stuff, and now you're getting ready to actually start the season. Maybe it's a little bit worse than he even thought, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's worse than what maybe it's worse than what the doctors and the trainers thought too, you know. So I'm not gonna judge the man, but I'm gonna say, man, if it was lingering, this should have been taken care of if you could have taken care of it.
Yeah. So of course there were a couple of games. Of course, we only look at last night's game. Again, this is preseason. I just step and talk about the player, the games and who it was. So of course, you had one game where the Bulls faced off against the Milwaukee Bucks, and which is going to be a conversation we're going to have in a second. Bucks was victorious, 105-102. In the overtime game, the Suns were able to dispatch the Detroit Pistons by the score of 130-126. The Celtics and 76ers faced off yesterday. Celtics were victorious by the score of 114-106. Another overtime game, the Grizzlies and the Pacers, in which a game I know that vintage, a little turn of the time. Derrick Rose dropped 13 points, helping to will the victories to the Grizzlies to victory, 127-122 in that game. The Sacramento Kings faced off against the Raptors, in which the Raptors were victorious 112-99. And then last but not least, the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Clippers faced off. Jazz get the 5-point victory, 101-96. Now, going back to the conversation of the Milwaukee Bucks being now with their new established team, Sportsbook said they're the favorite. What does Cornelius say? Who are you looking at on paper right now to probably hoist up that championship at the end of the year?
I've always liked the Bucks with Giannis in a healthy Giannis. I've
Uh-huh.
always thought that they were the better team, no matter how somehow they fall up short. They won one, but
Mm-hmm.
they fall short somehow with the talent that they've had. And I think everybody underestimating Dame right now. So I really think, but I think the Celtics picked up Drew Holiday. That could be a difference. That could be a difference if they match up with the Bucks head to head because Drew Holiday will have something to prove. But I think I'm going with. I think the Bucks come out of the East. I think they come out of the East. I'm not gonna say easily, but I'm gonna
Okay.
say that the Bucks should come out of the East. Like I said, the Celtics, but the Celtics been there. But my problem with the Celtics is the same thing. Like they haven't like they've made some moves with the Porzingis and the Drew Holiday. But Porzingis, he hasn't proven to be very durable throughout a season or whatever. Like he just hasn't been. Since his New York days, you haven't really seen a Porzingis put together a whole season or whatever. And plus, he ain't really made the playoffs all that often, so you don't know what Porzingis gonna be in the
He might be
pressure
starstruck,
situation.
yeah, in that
you
situation.
know, like so. But the Celtics still counting on players like Al Horford, man, and I think you got to get off that. I think you got to. I mean, and there's no knock against Al Horford. The Al Horford has seen better days, man. It's time when you relying on those guys, like a guy like Al Horford, to still be a big part of your team. It's time to move on. And what's the young man Williams, who never seems to be healthy. His body just never seems to be right to help him
Well,
out
so
at other
Williams
points.
is they shipped Williams out to get
Oh
Holiday.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
so
They got
but
rid
but
of
it's funny. It's funny you
him.
say it's funny that you say that because I feel like I was wondering because I had completely forgot Porzingis was in the building. So now I can say it makes sense, but I mean, of course, who am I to say? But it brings light to why they shipped Williams off because I was wondering who made Williams expendable? Porzingis.
Yeah,
Porzingis
Porzingis,
made
but
Williams, Porzingis and Horford, and you're saying they made and isn't Tice still there? Isn't Tice still there? Isn't he or did he get I think so. It's like that's what they're looking at. I see they signed Pritchard to extension. He got 4 years, 30 million over the weekend. So he's there, saying one of the few another player from that 2020 class that has gotten an extension.
well,
But yeah, so saying Brogdon and Williams got shipped off.
Brogdon
So
gone.
they're gone. So saying they made room from Holiday. Now you have Holiday, you have Porzingis, you have Tatum, you have Brown, you have Horford, you got Pritchard, you got White. Saying who am I missing?
What
I
I
don't know.
look at is they have Drew Holiday brings uh, at least he brings a championship mentality to the team that they didn't have before. That's what I look at. I look at maybe that's where they see it because Jalen Brown, hey, that's a whole lot of money that he gonna be making, and I don't think necessarily. I mean, that's what the market is. You got to go give the money, but I don't think he necessarily earned that contract.
Mm,
During the regular season, yeah, but postseason, he inconsistent. You know what I mean? Like he plays hard, but he never shows. Man, you got to get big buckets. I think the same thing with Tatum. They come and go, and that's why the Celtics haven't won the whole thing yet. Is that they two stars can come and go at any time. I know last year Tatum was hurt. He took an injury somewhere coming down the stretch. But the years prior to that, even when they made the championship, a team like the Warriors, like they were the bigger team than the Warriors, and they couldn't out rebound the Warriors. They couldn't outplay the Warriors. I mean, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
it is the Warriors. But that's the Warrior mentality. But what I'm saying is that in order for, in my mind, in order for Boston to beat a team like Milwaukee, they're gonna have to beat them pretty much down low this year. And Milwaukee has now, in my mind, the best opportunity to close like that. Now they got a closer. Like you don't have to worry about Giannis freezing up for free throws or any other. You got Dame now. You got somebody that can close, and you got somebody that can hit big shots. So I think that's going to be the difference for Milwaukee. I think that's why Giannis is excited about signing that extension. And I also think the team that we're not mentioning, the Heat. I don't know what Pat Riley doing, but they just didn't get better over the off season, man. They didn't do enough to get better in my mind. So they still thinking Jimmy, like Jimmy, what 35 now, 36 or something when the season, whatever. They still thinking they can get there with just Jimmy and a bunch of scrubs. So I don't see them getting better.
Mm. So transitioning a little bit, I have a bone to pick. Snook, I have a bone to pick. I feel that they're playing in my face. I feel like it's directly towards me. I really feel that the NCAA, the AP, the coaches polls, and the AP polls are playing in my face directly, like Trey. You know what I'm saying? This is for you. I feel like they're playing. Here's why I think they're playing. Right. So now in our swan song season, they want to put Pac-12 on a pedestal, right? At some point in the season, 8 of the top 25 teams were from the Pac-12. Currently, 7 of the top 25 teams are from the Pac-12. To where 3 of the 7, truthfully so, are in the top 10, right? One of those top 10 Pac-12 teams at one point was number 5 in the country. Here we are at that point. I think that was in week 3. Here we are going into week 7. That team has not lost a single game, and now they are number 10 in the country. They're playing in my face. Here's why I continue to say they're playing with my face. In my face. Look, they put the Pac-12 on a pedestal. 7 of 25 teams, right? But it is clearly understood that yes, we have 7 teams in the pack that's in the top 25, but of those 7 teams, the ranks, they play one another. So it's like they're dangling a carrot in the face of the bunny hole and trying to get the bunny to come out so they can cut the head off at that point. They're playing in my face. Of course, when you look at it, Miami, who lost a game, falls 8 spots to number 25. Kentucky lost a game. They fall 4 spots to number 24. Kansas gets into the top 25 with their victory, and they're at number 23. At number 22, LSU with their victory. They ain't win, matter of fact, but yet they found a way.
How LSU still ranked? I don't even,
Again,
I
man, it's the
don't even know
SEC.
how they still ranked.
They moved up a spot after losing
Yeah, I don't see how
to
LSU.
Mizzou. They move up a spot. But I digress. Notre Dame fell 11 spots from number 10 to 21 after they lost to Louisville over the weekend. Tennessee remains steadfast. They move up 3 spots. They're currently sitting at number 20. Washington State took an L to UCLA. They fall 6 spots. They're at number 19. But UCLA goes from not being ranked to being ranked number 18 at in this week's poll, again playing in our face because they're just basically setting it up because all these teams have to play against other ranked teams within the conference. Duke comes in at number 17. Utah moves up 2 spots. They're at number 16. Oregon State remains steadfast. However, I don't know at number 15. Louisville that beat LSU that was number 25 now moves up 11 spots to number 14. I don't understand it. Ole Miss comes in at number 13. At number 12, North Carolina. Alabama seems to continue to lurk around for whatever reason, but they're still around. They're number 11. USC has not lost a single game. They started out at number 6. The highest they got to was number 5. During this time frame, teams like Ohio State and Georgia struggled with teams, but they're still around. USC is now number 10 when at some point they was number 5, but they haven't lost a game. Now, I understand that they went to a triple overtime game with Arizona. I understand that they were up 20 points in the third quarter versus Colorado and end up only winning by 7. I understand they had to scratch and claw to knock off Arizona State at some point, but that's resiliency. That's grit. That's grind. That is what the same thing that Georgia went through when they played South Carolina. That is the same thing that Georgia went through when they just played I can't think of who they played, but they played a dismal team. That's the same thing that they went through, but yet Georgia still sits at number 1. Although Georgia has lost a considerable amount of first place votes, but yet they still sit there. Texas that took an L goes from number 3 to number 9 over an undefeated USC Trojan team. Texas took an L to the then 20th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. I'm glad that Bishop is not on right now.
The Sooners weren't ranked number 12 when they played. I thought the Sooners
12. I'm sorry, 12. Yeah, 12. They was 20 the week before. So the Sooners, the 12th ranked. No. I stand corrected. They was number 12. They was number 12. So Texas goes from 3 to 9 with their loss over an undefeated Pac-12 team. Oregon continue and Washington sit at 7 and 8. Of course, they didn't play this weekend. Penn State sits at number 6. Oklahoma, the Sooners. I'm so glad Bishop is not on this morning because I had to deal with this BS all morning. Oklahoma goes from 12 to 5. 7-spot jump. Of course, finishing out the top 5 is Florida State at number 4, Ohio State at number 3, Michigan at number 2, and of course, University of Georgia at number 1.
It's always the SEC, man. It's the polls since since they started the whole playoff thing. Everybody always knows it's always swung the SEC way. No, it seems like no matter what those teams do, like LSU shouldn't even be ranked at this point, in my opinion. We just keep giving them a pass. Georgia did struggle. I was wondering the same thing, like how did they struggle against some of the teams they struggle against and still maintain number 1? But then I have to look at it like Michigan really hasn't played anybody. I feel your gripe about USC, but USC, you really can't go to triple overtime against Arizona State, and you really can't let a Colorado team that your rival Oregon blew out. You can't let them come back on you like that, and you only win that game by 7. Now, should you be 10? Now I would have you somewhere like seventh, you know what I'm saying, sixth or seventh, somewhere off in there. But yeah, you can't let those things happen. Considering the competition that you played thus far, like you ain't really played no one tough yet. Your schedule gonna get tougher. So I think USC they gotta beat somebody more they gotta beat somebody
So
ranked
we,
high.
I mean,
You know
so
what I'm
we,
saying?
yeah. So have, of course, like what has to be understood, I think, is that Oregon. I'm not Oregon. Is that Colorado? Colorado basically faced off when they faced off against Colorado. I'm not Colorado. When they faced off against Arizona, Arizona basically employed the defense that they wasn't ready for. 7 DBs in the 7 of 11 DBs that made it hard for Caleb Williams to find spots, and then made it easy for the defensive line or the linebackers and whoever to roam and get there and pick their spots, and which made it hard on Caleb Williams. He was slow. He was a very, very slow
Okay.
start. So they employed a kryptonite type defense that had Williams basically negated in his passing attempts. He didn't have
But
all
what
those.
about your defense, Trey? But what about your defense?
Our
Arizona
defense is
State is still
trash.
Arizona State. That's what I'm saying.
Our
What
defense
about
is
your
trash.
defense? Like,
Our defense
regardless
is
of what the
trash.
other team defense did, you shouldn't give up no points to Arizona State. Like, I ain't gonna say no points, but it should not. You should not be
So,
in triple overtime.
so this is what I would say,
You
right?
should not be in
I
triple overtime.
this is what I say. I'm a firm believer that when these people, whether you're a rookie, a freshman, or whatever case like that, when they are employed, it doesn't. There's no tape on these people. So take in consideration when USC played Colorado, Miller, freshman, no tape. He comes into the game and basically gives us fits, almost single-handedly got the victory, which interestingly enough, come the next game versus who they played, who did Colorado just beat? Was it Cal? Who they just beat? Whomever, no, it wasn't Cal. Whoever Colorado played this week? I didn't see Miller. Marion Miller.
Colorado.
Ain't seen him, ain't you seen him, but against USC because he had to be put in, they were short. No tape on him. He comes in, you think he's a regular player. He has, of course, he was a 4 or 5 star player freshman, which he comes in, there's a whole bunch of problems. So run it up. Fatita, freshman, no tape on him. Second game of the year in which he didn't do too well in his first time. Runs it up. They got no tape on him. Important when you take it on. So the defense doesn't know that he's an agile quarterback. I mean, I'm very sure they take a look at seeing some things like, okay, he probably ain't do too well. There's a difference. He gets in front of his home crowd from Los Angeles. He gets in front of them and he takes it as this is my chance, giving them the business. What was Coleman, the running back, giving them the business. And it was just unfortunate. So we think we have Caleb Williams, he's going to keep us our ship righted, and it didn't come out that way. So I think it comes up in different ways in which, but in state is our defense isn't what it has been in other years, along with the offense. Like offensively, we play defense as well because we expect Caleb Williams to apply that pressure to where it's like, okay, you scored, now we got to score. And the defense is meant to be a stopgap, and we don't get that. And they was having problems. Them 2 receivers from Arizona was giving them problems. So Fatita, who was it? Well, then one of them went out with an injury. So they had the receiver core was given them problems. Big, tall receivers. Some speed, killing them on Z routes and all that type of stuff. And then additionally, Coleman was coming like a wrecking ball until the USC defense stood up and had that goal line stance. Of course, it didn't make a difference because we went down and gave the ball back up, or turnover had to not turnover or downs, or I had to punt it away. So it's like the stance didn't work. I was actually worried. I was worried. I'm not going to even lie to you. I was getting ready to cut the game off and look at something else and finish watching the last couple of episodes of Suits because I was like, I don't want to see this. I was like, my phone was going off, so I knew when they was scoring because my phone was going off for ESPN because I have notifications when USC plays. So I knew when the score it was when they was scored or didn't score because my phone was going off. So I was like, I don't even want to see this because especially when it got down to the third overtime and I was like, oh my goodness, now it's 2 for 2. I was like, we can't even get in the end zone on a regular. Now we're forced to have to score 2-point conversions, and so I was worried. But when the defense stood up, it was like, okay, finally, and we can walk off. But I knew we was going to drop. I didn't expect to drop from 9 to 10. I actually thought we was going to stand fast. But I mean, this week, you know what I'm saying, is going to be options, of course, when you look at it. Georgia faces off against Vanderbilt. We'll see how that goes. If they stay close, I guess they'll stay number 1. Number 2, Michigan is going to be up against Indiana. Ohio, third-ranked Ohio State, will be facing off against Purdue, currently 1 and 2 in the Big Ten. Syracuse and Florida State meet up, and Florida State still at number 4. Arkansas will be playing against 11th-ranked Alabama. 16th-ranked Utah will be facing off against Cal. 6th-ranked Penn State will be playing Massachusetts. I don't know how the hell they're playing Massachusetts this late in the season, but hey, I guess, yeah. What probably is going to be the game of the season this year? Number 8th-ranked Oregon will be traveling up the highway. Up the highway to face number 7th-ranked Washington. A battle of the Pac-12, the top 2 teams in the Pac-12, I guess you could say, in which now one of them are going to fall off. Of course, playing in our face, as I said. Number 8 versus number 7. 19th ranked Tennessee will be taking on Texas A&M. Newly ranked 23rd ranked Kansas will be facing off against Oklahoma State. Arizona will take their show on the road and face off against 19th ranked Washington State. 22nd ranked LSU Tigers will be hosting the Auburn Tigers, of course. 25th ranked Miami will be facing off against 12th ranked North Carolina. 24th ranked Kentucky versus Missouri. The newly omitted 18th ranked UCLA Bruins will face off against the 15th ranked Oregon State Beavers, again playing in our face. And of course, in the last two, the top 25, the 17th ranked Duke will be hosting unranked North Carolina State. And last but not least, maybe the game in which you was talking about, Snook, the 10th ranked USC Trojans will be facing off against the 21st ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
And I think that game's gonna knock Notre Dame out of the top 25 finally.
I doubt it will. They'll find a way back in. We'll blink and Notre Dame will be number 15.
Right, but I think that game's gonna knock them out because I don't see Notre Dame. I've watched Notre Dame play, and I don't see Notre Dame beating USC. But it's a game that USC must win, man, and they gotta win it in. They'll have to blow Notre Dame out, but I think a 10-point win will get them back in the top. Get them back in the top 8 or 9 somewhere off in there. I think if they win big, and another team, Ohio State. Maryland played a good game against them this past weekend. I actually saw that game. They played a good game against them. I just want to put that out there. The other Tagovailoa, man, he looked real good at Maryland or whatever. Like, but how long? I'm like, how long he been in college? Ain't he been in college long enough to? I'm just like, it seems like he's been in college a long time.
I think he was redshirting and taking consideration. Everyone, just about all the college players, got an extra year eligibility due to COVID. So that a red shirt and then the extra year of eligibility gave him the opportunity. I think he's been the starter there for at least a year or two, if not 3. So
he plays really good. The difference in that game was a couple of turnovers. Ohio State in the second half turned up their defense a little bit, and they started throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison, which Marvin Harrison Jr. is going, man, whoever gets him in the NFL, they're going to have something to work with. That young man is serious. That young man is serious business. If y'all haven't seen Marvin Harrison play, y'all should watch him play, man. That kid, he's special already.
Mm-hmm. Of course, like Warren said, it don't matter how we win as long as we win in state. That's what we're going to do because it's like I think it's a USC bias, a Trojan bias. Let alone, I don't think it's no longer the Pac-12 bias. I think it's just at this point, I think it's just all about USC. And if they lose, there's
y'all have cheated in the past. Y'all have cheated in the past. So
who cheated?
What is cheating? Come on, man. Pete Carroll, Pete Carroll got out of there, boy. When what I'm saying? Pete Carroll left at the right time. Y'all, said the whole Reggie Bush thing. I don't think the NCAA, they may let up off your neck a little bit, but they're not a forgiving. We all know they're not forgiving. You know what I'm saying? Like they punish teams beyond belief, and that could be very well the case. Is that y'all still being punished for some past stuff? I mean, it ain't fair, but it happens. Like it happened. Like they banned SMU for a long time. Remember they had the death penalty or whatever. A couple of teams
Mm-hmm.
had the death penalty, right? I think the same thing with schools like Ole Miss keeps getting a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they not really going to it. They can beat Alabama. They haven't done it yet, but they can beat whoever. But because I think it's because of who they coach is, they won't go that far. Lane Kiffin or whatever. I think they got something against him too. You know what I mean? Certain times you can tell, but USC, I can believe that because it's like, hey man, y'all dominated and y'all was cheating. You know what I'm saying? Under the
We
old
was
rules, y'all was
we
cheating.
was not cheating. We found
Y'all
the
weren't the
way.
only ones,
They
but
found
y'all got
they
caught.
found the way to manipulate the system. Reggie Bush came out and said all these things in which USC should not have got the blunt force trauma for that. You know what I'm saying? Pete Carroll got out of town. It's like, yo, you know what I'm
Man,
saying? That ain't got nothing to do with me and all that type of stuff. But you know what
right.
I'm saying? And we continue to take that blunt force trauma. But you know what I'm saying, just like anything else, like you said, resiliency, again, the phoenix out the ashes, we shall rise. And you know what I'm saying? Lincoln Riley, although when you track record for Lincoln Riley and his quarterbacks in the league is not too good, but you know what I'm saying, Lincoln Riley makes
No.
it happen. You know what I'm
Now
saying?
that's something I wanted. That's something I want to ask you right there. Stimulate your mind to this.
Okay.
You got Justin Fields, you got Sam Donald, you got these quarterbacks that come from USC, OSU. They never do that well. I'm hoping different for CJ Stroud. It look like he gonna be a buck for
You look like
trend.
he another one too.
But traditional quarterbacks, they don't. It don't look like OSU and USC are the spots to get your quarterbacks for the NFL because they don't do well in the NFL. Like, when's the last time a quarterback from USC did well in the NFL? I mean, I think the best was Mark Sanchez because he went to like what two or
A couple
three AFC
the
championships,
championships. Mm-hmm.
but he famously known for the butt fumble. He ain't even known for the AFC championship games that he went to. But all the
So,
rest of them, Sam Darnold,
so
man,
true
those
enough.
guys. Whew,
Like you said, true enough, they haven't. A traditional quarterback has not done well out of USC. They've done well at USC, but they haven't done out of
in the
USC.
pros.
However, uh, However, yeah, in the pros, in which Wayne says Carson Palmer,
Yeah,
but since
Carson Palmer, he was
but
decent.
Sanchez, yeah, but Sanchez came after Carson Palmer. So, but Carson Palmer has probably been one of the most decent ones that's been in the recent. So, but I think when you take in consideration, we like you just said, Mark Sanchez was all right, but Mark Sanchez also was a dual threat quarterback in a sense, and not in the sense of what they are now, but he, from that standpoint, he was a dual threat quarterback, and which is interesting. Why USC? I was wondering why USC didn't pick up enough dual threat quarterbacks for the most part, in which now having Caleb Williams in the fold, that has been the reason why, for the most part, USC has been doing good. We take in consideration we had Jackson Dart, who is now helming the Mississippi offense, a dual threat quarterback that was doing all right. But when you take in consideration JT Daniels, Keaton Slovis, Don David Booty, all them type of stuff. Those quarterbacks have not been. Yeah, Aaron Cora, another one. Rodney Pete, even my man. You know what I'm saying, Michael Thomas, that went to the alum from the D. They all were, you know what I'm saying, they gave different aspects to it. And I don't know why USC went away from bringing in dual threat quarterbacks when you have someone like Kelly that's up the street in UCLA and he's pulling them in by the masses, you know what I'm saying, and going to recruit them, but USC stays with the what they have. Now we have uh quarterbacks in the weight that are dual threaded, and so and Lincoln Riley, of course, that's what he's more so predicated on and doing that type of stuff. So hopefully he stays that. But unfortunately, what we have seen when you look at Kyler Murray, the only one that has been doing great that comes from that tree in Oklahoma. Although I don't necessarily give all the credit to Oklahoma, it's Jalen Hurts. But even he took a while to get going again. So when you
Yeah,
look at
I don't know if Jalen Hurts. Look, Jalen Hurts is a good football player, and he on a good team. But I don't know if you. I think if you put Jalen Hurts on the Bears, he's sorry just like Justin Fields. I mean, I think it's the system that he's working in right now that's playing to his strength. I mean, because Jalen Hurts, he all right passer. He not the everybody talk that noise. He not the most accurate. He not the
uh-huh.
most whatever, and it's showing up this year. It's showing up this year where they struggling a little bit. You starting to see the different things like Jalen Hurts. I mean, yeah, he good, but he not. I think this is what I think. I think in 5 years you won't talk about we won't be talking about Jalen Hurts no more. I
Mm.
think he got another 2 3 years and that's it. I mean I don't think we're gonna be talking about Jalen Hurts no more, man. I mean you can just see it already. I mean your best play is pushing you across the line. I mean I mean that's your best play. Your best play is pushing you across the line, and I don't think that that's going to win you a Super Bowl. We saw it last year. That's not going to win you a Super Bowl against the Mahomeses and stuff like that. What I'm saying is that we look at these places, USC, OSU, OU, to go get these quarterbacks and they just don't pan out in the pros. I mean,
Mhm.
where did Patrick Mahomes come from? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Where did Joe Burrow come from? Lamar Jackson. They ain't coming from these places. The quarterbacks that's doing it, they ain't coming from those schools. Like the quarterbacks that come from those schools, they just don't. I don't know what it is that don't make them good in the pros, but they just
Yeah,
not that good in the pros.
Mahomes, you didn't see him coming. He was out of Texas Tech. Lamar, like you say, Louisville, he came up and just shocked the world. Uh, yeah, so I mean, when you look at it, it's definitely difference. Like you said, coming from different places. Like you said, Burrow, he was buried on Ohio State's depth chart, and then was able to get because of the transfer portal. He was able to go ahead and LSU took a chance on him, and he shocked the world. Most often, the most prolific offense that year, most points put up in college history, most passing yards put up in college history, and they basically ran roughshod over their opponent in the national championship game, and which parlayed him to being the number one pick the following year. So yeah, I guess you could say that when you look at it, and I definitely, like I said, for me, I look at it as I worry for Caleb Williams going into um, the National Football League, but it might. I mean, I don't think it'll be this year. I think he might actually keep good on his on what they say, and he might actually decide to stay one more year, finish off his senior year at USC, if it continues to be what. Because although now that we get ready to get into the NFL,
All I can say is
Fields.
to Caleb Williams. All I can say to Caleb Williams is this. Excuse me, Trey. Is
Yeah, go ahead.
remember Matt Leinart. Remember Matt Leinart, man. Don't pass up your chance to be number one. For real, don't pass up your chance to be number one. I mean, you got to look at it, man. Next year ain't promised. Like like you probably won't be if you don't go this year in this year's draft as number one. You know you're gonna be number one overall. It's not gonna be the same the year after. You
You
know
don't
what
think
I'm
so?
saying? Like, no, it's not gonna be the same the year after. They're not gonna give you two cracks, man. It's about this up here sometimes. And those teams watching that, oh, you don't want to come? You don't want to come now and be the number one draft pick? We're not gonna give you two cracks at the apple. Show me one that's got two cracks at the apple that said, hey, I'm a stay. It always hurts your draft stock when you stay. So it's like if you got a chance to do it now, you better make that move, or else you're gonna miss that boat. For real. Somebody else gonna take your spot, man. That's the name of the game. That's the most beautiful thing about sports. Is somebody else is waiting to take your spot.
So you're saying that if you were Caleb Williams' dad, or you had a kid that was looking at potentially being a number one overall pick, but you was also looking at the fact of you can see the future, you can see the crystal ball, and so for the most part, at this point, you're looking at being on being potentially a New York Jet, a Minnesota Viking, a a Houston Texan, a Chicago Bear, a New England Patriot, that you will go ahead and encourage your son or your family member to go ahead and jump in and continue to with
Look, you're only gonna get that shot once in a lifetime. Look, um, and what good team is gonna be? You know what I'm
true,
saying?
true.
What
You
good
know what
team is
that's
gonna be
right.
there for
What good
you
team is,
to?
but there are some teams for the most part that will be available or he could be available to. Like I know he simply said he gave a list of teams that he said he wouldn't mind paying for. I know one of them was San Francisco. We're not going to see the 49ers. That's not going to
That's not
happen.
gonna happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen unless they trade up again, which we know that they
Dreaming.
leveraged that. That's not happening. So I forgot the other ones in which he named for the most part, but he's not seeing some of those charts. Although you do have teams that potentially can be available to him at that point, but definitely I think if Caleb Williams, because right now he's quote unquote seen as possibly being a front runner for the Heisman still, right? So if Caleb Williams was to go and enact. What's good, Mickey? How you doing? What's good? Glad to have information with us this morning. So if they was to enact that and he becomes the second back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner and he stays in college next year, he's still going to be seen as a top prospect for the
Top
25.
prospect, but probably not. I mean, the needs are gonna be different. You got to understand
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
draft.
Yeah.
There's gonna be other quarterbacks coming out of this draft. You got to look at that too. There's gonna be other
Correct.
quarterbacks coming out of this draft. New England definitely gonna be looking for a quarterback. Uh, I think the Bears are gonna move from Justin Fields. I think the Bears
I
gonna.
don't know.
I think they're
Justin's
gonna
showing
shift.
out. Justin's showing out.
I think the Bears, but I think the Bears, the writing's on the wall, the coach gone, all that stuff. I think the Bears going, this GM, he gonna want to get his people in there or whatever. He gonna want to get people that he picked on that squad. So I'm looking at the Bears probably. If the Bears, okay, I'm looking at it like this: the Bears might end up trading Justin Fields before the trade deadline or something. I
Mm.
mean, and I'm looking at somewhere like if Justin Fields went to the Jets right now, that'll be a good move. Like the Jets could probably save their season if they made a move like that right now, because Zach Wilson he playing a little bit better, but it's still not going to get them far, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even be surprised if New England made a move for Justin Fields, their team would be better. As far as they have no weapons over there, so you got to get some kind of offense. You can't get it out of Mac Jones when you don't have nothing to throw to. So what I'm saying is you got other quarterbacks coming out this year. Um, Panthers already had a quarterback. The Texans already had a quarterback. Teams that's projected to be at the bottom, they already got their quarterback. Arizona, I mean, you that was the problem right there. You was thinking Arizona was tanking. Like Arizona is not a place that he wants to play. But I'm saying like you gonna have a couple of places this year that could probably that could probably put you in position to win within the next 2 or 3 years. The year after that, it won't be promised. You know what I'm saying? The year after that, it won't be promised that it's going to be the same setups. So if I'm him, I really consider I wait and see that this season over, and then I make my decision there to come out of there. Because it's other
What's good,
quarterbacks.
Leo? So true enough, like Leo said, Jaden Daniels, he's another one that Jaden Daniels from out of LSU might be a hot commodity at that time. What's good, D? What's going on, man? I got your message, bro. I'll holler at you. Um, so Jaden, like you said, Jaden McDaniels. I mean, like Leo was saying, Jaden McDaniels might
Mhm.
be. He made his way on. Of course, some injuries kind of like derailed him, I believe. He's playing at LSU. Of course, like we said, LSU found a way to still be in the top 25 and even move up a slot after a loss. But it's I just think that Caleb Williams, of course, especially like I said, if he wins another Heisman, he's going to be he. And then I wonder, like, does it really pay off to be the top spot outside of the money? Like Bryce Young is a top spot, right? He got this top spot quarterback. I know quarterback, but what I see is he wasn't the best right now. Anthony Richardson probably was a better prospect.
No, who is he throwing to, man? You got to look at he's throwing to Adam
He got
Thielen.
he got
He's throwing to 33-year-old Adam Thielen, man. He
the
has
idea
nothing
is giving
like
that work.
like the
Thean is giving
Panthers.
that work.
The Panthers have nothing. But I'm saying, if that's your best, come on, man, for real. Like you're not gonna win like that. Okay, and another team that I think is gonna be in the hunt for a quarterback is the Raiders, right? And you got Devontae Adams already there. You know, like you got Devontae Adams, who if they don't trade him at the trade deadline, you know, but you got the Raiders. The Raiders gonna need a quarterback because even though I was rooting for Garoppolo, it just don't seem like Josh McDaniels knows what to do with a team. Period. So it's like they gonna be, they gonna need a quarterback in the future. You got some teams that's gonna need quarterbacks. And C.J. Stroud, I said this. I put like my Facebook post
CJ
is
Stroud,
C.J.
yeah.
Stroud was the best pick in the draft. He was the best pick in the draft.
You think
Like
so?
surprisingly, yeah. The second best pick in the draft is the Puka Nakua or whatever his name is,
Let's
man.
go,
Like,
Puka!
like Puka's
Yeah!
the. I
Rookie of
mean,
the year on deck.
and the third best pick in the draft went to New England, but he hurt now, and that was Christian Gonzalez, man. I didn't, two of those, well, those three I didn't see coming out of this last year's draft as being good as they are, but they are really good, and I think Bijan Robinson, he's up there too. He was a good addition, but man, you got to look at the landscape. Atlanta might need a quarterback, but I think now Atlanta might be smart. It might be smart for them to get Justin Fields. It might be good, smart for them to trade whatever they got, even draft picks or whatever, to get a Justin Fields or something because they look pretty good right now. But Chicago is definitely moving off of Justin Fields. I think they've shown them that by not giving them a defense, by not giving them anything to work with over there,
They got him
other than
DJ. Yeah, we seen
other than
DJ.
DJ Moore. Well, this is what changed for
Hmm.
me in Chicago. Chicago is still sorry because the coaching staff is sorry. They didn't give this young. They don't give him a young. But I think Justin Fields has just made up his mind. You see, after he complained about the coaches, he's
Uh-huh.
played a little bit. He's played a
Yeah, he's
little bit
played
better,
better.
man. He's
He set
played
up and
better because now.
they lost a close game in which they was on point to get that dub against the Denver, and then they came out and basically blitzkrieg
And his coach lost him. And his coach lost him that game. That's how much It's like are the Bears taking on purpose, or what are they doing? Because the coach lost him that game. Kick the field goal, and you see Russell Wilson them struggle to try to move the ball. Late in games, kick the field goal, you give them a chance to win. But they didn't give him a chance to win, man. Like I just don't like that. I don't like that when and Justin played his tail off. And then you say, oh, well, at the end of the game, he threw a pick or he fumbled the ball or whatever happened at the end of that game, that particular game we're talking about right now. But that only happened because you didn't kick the field goal. Kick the field goal, on 4th and 1 or whatever. Take the points. You up by 3. You can win that game. But it's like, no, you don't give yourself a chance to win. You put the young man in a position to lose, man. Like they playing to lose. They're not playing to win. And Justin realizes that. That's frustrating when your squad playing to lose. Like they're not
mm,
playing to win. Like it was evident last year. I said it last year when they traded away the whole defense. They got rid of the whole defense for no reason. That they were setting themselves up for draft picks. They're not trying to win. They're not trying to win. Like the Bears not trying to win, and it's disappointing when you a player like Justin Fields who come from a winning culture. You know what I'm saying? You've been winning all your life, and then you go. That's another thing that Caleb Williams trying to avoid right there, man. So I just look at it, like you've been winning all your life, and then you go to losing, man. It's rough. The same thing happening to Bryce Young right now, right? Like, man, he used to having more weapons than that. Alabama had some weapons that he could go to. You don't have those weapons in Carolina. You have nothing. Who's even your running back right now? Chuba Hubbard. Come on, man. You got rid of McCaffrey. You got rid of everything reasonable. So you're going through a rebuild. Whereas when you look at the Texans, D'Amico Ryan's attitude is different. He wants to win right now. You feel what I'm saying? Now that attitude is going to win them some games this year, and you can see that. But Stroud, like Stroud, the advantage that Stroud has is that he's more ready right now to understand and read the field. Like he getting rid of that ball, man. He not playing with it. He not sitting on it. He not holding it. It's like, hey, I'm getting rid of this ball, which is something that I think that hey, if you got a couple of weapons, what's his name? He got Woods or whatever.
yeah,
He's
he got
making these
Woods,
guys.
Nico Collins, Pierce. Yeah, he
He's
has.
making these guys. You know what I'm saying? And he's using them to his benefit. But that's because he got coaches. He got coaches that want to win. Like you don't have that. I don't think you have that right now. I'm not saying Frank Reich don't want to win. I'm just saying that what he was given, it's gonna take a minute for him to put something around Bryce Young. from where they started. And then when you look at on the other side, you look at Chicago, they're just not trying to win, man. And I don't think it's I think it's just it's sad to say that about a Chicago Bear where they don't have the like the heart of some Bears or something like they not tough like they normally are. But that's because they gave away everything and they really trying to rebuild and they don't know how to go about it. Especially they got to get rid of the coach first, and once they get rid of that coach and get a coach in there, then you'll see what the Bears really are. But I think Eberflus is just he's just a buffer right there right now. And like I said, if you're gonna cost your team games when you need a win so bad, and then you're gonna say, "Nah, we gonna pass up the winning opportunity." You know,
So of course, like he just said, going to talk about Eberflus, Chicago started off the week last week as they were on Thursday night, pulled off a probable victory, winning 40-20 over Washington, a team in which I thought Washington was one of those teams that was going to be looked at. Magic Johnson was in the building. He said they gave up. Agreed, coaching is where the stars starts for the Bears. Shout out Leo. So Justin Fields, as he said, 15-29 doesn't sound all that great for 282 yards, 4 touchdowns. However, sacked 3 times, but only for 9 yards. Probably recognizing like you ain't no use in trying to escape. Just go ahead and take it. Khalil Herbert, 10 rushes for 76 yards on that night. Justin Fields had 57 yards himself on 11 carries. But DJ Moore on 8 receptions on 10 targets, 230 yards receiving, plus 3 touchdowns to go along with it. Even in the closing minutes, although it was a gamble, but I don't fault that corner for taking that gamble. It just barely got past his fingertips to where if he would have got it, that's probably definitely a pick 6. Well, I don't know because Justin Fields isn't slow, but he definitely had a chance. Cole Kmet, 5 receptions for 42 yards and a touchdown that game. The Bears didn't look too bad. They did get their first win. Sam Howell was 37 for 51, 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 5 sacks for 29 yards. Brian Robinson Jr. carried the ball 6 times for 10 yards. Sam Howell was another 19. Taking consideration, or I guess if you put it in perspective, the Chicago Bears was down to their fullback as their starting running back. Although he did do serviceably well, he wasn't that bad. He did better than expected. And then, of course, for the receiving core of Washington, Logan Thomas led the Washington Commanders with 9 receptions, 77 yards, 1 touchdown on 11 targets. Curtis Samuel didn't do bad. 6 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown. But who you would have thought more so, Terry McLaurin was 4 for 49. Jamison Crowden still playing. He was 2 for 21 on 2 targets. Jawan Dixon, who I thought was going to have a huge season coming forth, looking a little suspect. 3 receptions on 5 targets for 30 yards. Brian Robinson contribute with 4 receptions for 33 yards. And Antonio Gibson was 4 for 64. However, the game did get away. At one point, the Commanders looked like they were in prime position to even take the lead, to possibly snatch the game from Chicago, just like Denver did. But didn't pan out as such. And Chicago walked away with the victory. And so, as he said, it's Chicago may be tanking or may not. Maybe they're trying to get in position. We'll see. But someone that I know for a fact is looking good. I said this 3 years ago that this team is going to be a team to be reckoned with. That team being the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have been 3 years in the making. They lose Matthew Stafford. They get Jared Goff. Let's not forget, Jared Goff is a Super Bowl quarterback. He's a Super Bowl quarterback. I see the look on Cornelius' face. Jared Goff is a Super Bowl quarterback. At one point, Jared Goff had not had an interception in over a triple-digit amount of passes, and he's right back to it. Jared Goff, 20 for 28, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked twice for a loss of 18 yards. But someone who has revitalized, we was just talking about the Chicago Bears. David Montgomery, 19 carries, 109 yards, 1 touchdown. Craig Reynolds, 7 for 52 and a touchdown. Bridgewater even got his serve on a little bit. Someone that is basically falling further and further. We say people hate Goff is a real good quarterback. Goff is doing this thing, pal. Maurice, like Goff, like I sit up and I was into, of course, when he was in the 49ers division, I didn't care for him much, but you got to recognize Jared Goff is, you know, saying he didn't get that win, his one Super Bowl. Notice I say he's a Super Bowl quarterback. Now he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But, you know, saying even though that was probably the wackest Super Bowl of all time, but anyway, it was a dub. Josh Reynolds, 4 for 76 in the touchdown. Sam Laporta, even though one of them was a trick play, he got him to 3 for 47 on 4 targets, 2 touchdowns. Khalif Raymond, 3 for 45. David Montgomery got him 2 for 20 yards. Marvin Jones Sr. with 2 for 22 yards. Jamison Williams back for the first time, 2 receptions, 2 yards. Hopefully he gets turned around, as he was a highly sought acquisition when he was drafted. Hasn't had an opportunity due to injuries, and then of course the gambling situation. But now he's back. Maybe he shows face. On the other side of the spectrum, as we was talking about, Bryce Young for the 0-5 Carolina Panthers now with the 42-24 loss. 25 for 41, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns, however, 2 interceptions, was sacked once for a loss of 4 yards. As said, Chuba Hubbard, 9 carries for 35 yards. Miles Sanders, who's supposed to be the breadwinner there, 7 carries for 32 yards. Laviska Shenault on a couple of inner rounds, 5 carries for 27 yards. Bryce Young got 1 for 4. As I was saying, Adam Thielen, 13 targets, 11 receptions, 107 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Not bad for an older guy, in my opinion. It being the other one, Jonathan Mingo.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's what I say.
It's just not winning.
Then Jonathan Mingo, of course, we thought he was going to be different. He's going to be a difference maker. Maybe he got to kind of build just like Bryce Young needs to build up. Jonathan Mingo, 5 receptions, 7 yards. On 7 receptions, on 7 targets, 48 yards. DJ Chark, 3 for 42 yards and a touchdown. Ian Thomas was 1 for 28. Hayden Hurst, 3 for 21. But in state, none of that amounted to a W for the Carolina Panthers. Currently 0-5. And I don't know if we even see an opportunity to where they probably get a win or when that win comes. Maybe the win is going to be the bye, in which they don't have to worry about playing, so they don't pick up another loss. I don't know. But like I said, Detroit 4-1. It's Detroit's division. It's Detroit's division.
It is right here. It's gonna I'm sticking with my guns straight. It's gonna be Green Bay's division when it's all said and done.
You think Jordan is going? We'll see tonight.
You still got a long way to go. And we've seen this before from Detroit. Until they can prove to me that they can go past the 8-game mark and still be winning games after that point, you know what I'm saying? You still got 9. And when they get to the 8-game mark, you still got 9 games left. And we've seen this from Detroit before. I mean, yeah, they come out, yeah. They all right. You feel what I'm saying? But they don't deliver when it's time coming down the stretch. You saw last year, they had a chance to make the playoffs. They couldn't do it. Like somehow Seattle ended up squeaking in that spot. Like I just don't see that. What I see with them is you got, it's regular season. You got good plays here and there. You doing this and that. But when the other team come to play, you'll see the difference. Like they already beat Green Bay 1 game. I don't think they're gonna beat Green Bay again. Luckily for them, the Bears and the Vikings are nothing to worry about in that division. So it comes down to them and Green Bay. And I just think that the better coach, I think that the better quarterback and all that is in Green Bay right now. I think Jordan Love. I like Goff. Nothing wrong with Goff. I just think that overall, y'all go see that Dan Campbell is not that guy, man. It's like Dan Campbell is not that guy. He gonna be another for real. He gonna be another Matt Patricia, another whatever in Detroit, man. Where when it's all said and done, you gonna say, "Whoa, they play hard and they just right there, but they can never get over the hump." That's what it's gonna be for Detroit, man. I mean, unfortunately, that's what it's always been for Detroit. They ain't made the playoffs in how many years?
Yeah,
They ain't won a playoff game in how many years? I mean, I'm just saying. Like it's
So Jordan,
always the same with
like
defense.
Leo, I'm like Jordan Love. I don't know, but like I said, we'll see tonight. Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers face off against the Las Vegas Raiders and Devontae Adams and company. We'll see how it ends up going. So, like you was just saying, Lions are just better or just a better football team. They were, and that could be it. Like you say, Amari, it could have been just Lions is just better than Carolina, and they've
They
put
are
in their.
better.
They've been better than a couple of teams in which they played. Even the loss in which they took, they might have been better than the team. It just didn't fall right. So, and then take in consideration, Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't play yesterday either. So, but did they come in planning for Amon-Ra? He wasn't there and they got caught slipping. I don't know. But the Lions, he said we're gonna see how it pans out. Yeah, he said we're gonna see how it pans out. I think, as I said at the beginning of the season, I believe that Detroit is going to win their division. Although I'm not ready to completely count out the Minnesota Vikings, who we're about to get into their game next. I didn't,
You
nor
gotta
do I,
count them out.
or do I plan? Well, yeah, you know what? Actually, it might be a count out now, especially when you take into consideration Jefferson might be done. Jordan Addison didn't do too bad yesterday. They paid T.J. Hawkinson that money. Hopefully, he can pick up the slack. And then because they have a couple of other people, it's KJ Osborne, a couple of players. But when talked about it, O'Connell was like, "That's why we have certain people." So I don't think they truly believe in Osborne or the rest of them for the most part.
Kirk Cousin is your quarterback. You done. You done.
Kirk
Kirk
Cousins
Cousins is
yesterday,
your quarterback.
29 for 47, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 sacks for 25 yards. Alexander Madison was at Matheson, 8 carries for 26 yards. Ty Chandler was 1 for 15. Akers finally getting some burn, 5 for 15 in carries. Jordan Addison, 6 receptions, 64 yards receiving on 9 targets, 1 touchdown. TJ Hawkinson, 5 for 51 on 8. KJ Osborne was 5 for 49. Brandon Powell, 4 for 43. As I said before, Justin Jefferson only had 3 receptions for 28 yards on 6 carries, and then as well as he went out with a hamstring injury in the I think it was the second or something like that. In which what the progress is going to be on that, we don't know yet. Expected to be a hamstring. You got to think he's an elusive wide receiver, so that's not going to fare too well for him. Alexander Madison got 2 receptions for 20 yards and a touchdown, in which, of course, would have been okay for any other team. However, the Minnesota Vikings were faced off against the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, 31 for 41, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 sacks for 15 yards, a loss of 15. Isaiah Pacheco. Now, this is the one I didn't necessarily see coming. Pacheco, 16 for 55, 1 touchdown as he continues to do his thing. Jerick McKinnon, another one that sends, even though he ain't doing this, but he's always lurking. He had 1 carry for 7 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who we thought was probably going to be that person for the Kansas City Chiefs, has basically relented to Pacheco. He used 3 carries for 4 yards, not anything really. Kadarius Toney had 1 carry for 1 yard. Travis Kelce, although he did go down earlier in the first half with the what we thought was going to be an injury that was going to keep him out, came back somehow open on. I don't understand how Travis Kelce is so open in the red zone or on the goal line when he's the primary receiver. Like, how does he get this wide open? 10 receptions on
And the
11
Vikings.
targets, 67 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Excuse me, Justin Watson, 2 for 56. Rasheem Rice, a guy I think you got to keep your eye on, 4 receptions for 33 yards and a touchdown. Justin Ross, 2 for 28. Kadarius Toney, 5 for 26 yards receiving. Noah Gray was 2 for 21. Jerick McKinnon had 2 for 18 himself. Scantling contributed 1 reception for 12 yards, and Sky Moore was 2 for 11 yards receiving. As the Kansas City Chiefs pulled off another victory, 27-20 over the Minnesota Vikings.
I want to say this.
Yes.
About that game in particular. Hey, Brian Flores or whatever his name is, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. I've watched them 2 weeks in a row now, Trey. And let me tell you, that defense you're trying to run is not going to work because you don't have the personnel. It's time to switch that up. It's time to switch that up and use what you got. Like, for real, you're trying to run this old New England defense or whatever, because he came from that realm or whatever. You're trying to use some Bill Belichick stuff. You don't have the personnel for that. You got to simplify your defense right quick. You know what I'm saying? And Cousins, like I said, I don't agree with the backup. I think Cousins' problem is, man, he's just not good in situational football. Like it's always been the case with him. He's never been good. On the other side, you see who is good at situational football, and that's Patrick Mahomes, man. That guy is he's still the best. The Chiefs are still a front runner to me to win it all. Like until somebody can prove otherwise. I mean, you got to do something with Patrick Mahomes, man. Like you can't stop him. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop Patrick Mahomes.
Mm.
Like that guy is. It doesn't matter. Travis Kelsey hurt. It don't matter who out there with him, man. The guy he throws the ball all over the field, and when it comes down to winning time, he knows how to win. Like Patrick Mahomes knows how to get it. He's the best closer in the game. He's the close. Like the Yankees used to have Mariano Rivera come out like
Uh-huh.
fourth quarter. Fourth quarter number 15 for Kansas City. I go with him against anybody. I take him against anybody else. Period. Because the guy, he good. He good when it's time to close.
So other games, of course, last night, yesterday, in which I don't know how to take these guys. At sometimes, basically, Jacksonville and the Buffalo Bills. I just knew after what they put on, Buffalo was going to come out ready to go. Of course, we got to take in consideration this game was across the water, early game on early Sunday morning game, in which now we take in consideration we have another one as the Baltimore Ravens are going to face off with the Tennessee Titans this week. In London, where Baltimore, of course, has already left. Theirs left last night after their loss, so we're going to get into their game in a little bit. But Buffalo and Jacksonville, international series game. Coming off Josh Allen having a blister, putting up the numbers last week, and just thought that it was going to be the same thing. Not so much. Josh Allen, 27 for 40 for 359 yards. Not nothing to sneeze at for the most part. He took no sacks, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He contributed 14 yards on the ground in 4 carries. Damian Harris, 3 for 13. Latavius Murray was 2 for 6, so it just was a dismal rushing spectacle for the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs did have 8 receptions for 121 yards and 1 touchdown. Gabe Davis, not too bad, 6 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. And then it ended there. Deontay Harty, basically 2 for 62. James Cook, 3 for 25. Dalton Kincaid was 2 for 19. Dawson Knox, 3 for 17. And Khalil Shakir was 1 for 11. On the opposite side of the spectrum, good old Trevor Lawrence, 25 for 37, 315 yards, 1 touchdown. However, sacked 5 times at 37 for 37 yards lost. But they can make a difference. Travis Etienne, 26 carries for 136 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, 7 for 31. Calvin Ridley, 2 rushing attempts for 14 yards. Calvin Ridley also additionally 122 yards receiving on 7 receptions. Christian Kirk was 6 for 79. Travis Etienne contributed with 4 receptions for 48 yards. Evan Ingram was 4 for 28. Zay Jones, 3 for 23 and a touchdown. And last but not least, Luke Furr was 11 of 16, which basically amount to the Jaguars pulling off being victorious 25-20. Buffalo goes back to the drawing board and gets back to it once they get back to the States. Will we finally see, does Jacksonville continue to go on, or do we continue to see a so-so
You're going to see a
performance?
so-so team until they realize, hey, Etienne got to touch the ball 30 times in order for us to be successful every game. I'm serious.
30,
You just said it.
30 times?
26 carries and
26
4
carries.
catches. That's 30 times. That's how you're going to win. I mean, you're not going to win with Trevor Lawrence. And I like Ridley. I like some of the pieces that he have. I mean, situationally, you can make some big plays out of that. But man, you gotta give that rock to the young man that's going to get you in the best positions to be able to use Trevor Lawrence when you don't have an offensive line that's all that great. You got to play to your strengths. They can block. They can run block.
Mm-hmm.
So use the run, use the run to set up the pass. I don't think Jacksonville doing enough of that early on this year so far. But they'll figure it out. This guy got to touch the ball 30 times in order for you to win right there. I mean, that's your formula. 25 to 30 times a game, ATN, and you'll win.
Mm. So going on to this guy, which I think was actually better than what I thought. I'm talking about Anthony.
Oh, and excuse me, let me throw this out there about the
Okay.
Bills.
What about the Bills?
The Bills. The Bills. Every like the last 3 4 years, we've said the Bills are they could be Super Bowl contenders, but we don't see that consistently from them. Like they beat the brakes off Miami, and then I get it. They traveled late. Jacksonville already played a game out there. They stayed out there, so they might have played something with it. They traveled. Jacksonville was there for a while, and they came in last minute up to London or whatever long trip. But at the same time, man, where's the effort? And then they lost a linebacker, man, Milano. So the Bills might be hurting, even though they getting Von Miller back. They still might be hurting long term, because they done lost a couple of good players on their defensive side
On
of the
the
ball.
defense, yeah. So going on to this next game, right? Like I said, I believe outside of Stroud and Nakua, this guy can be possibly a contender for the Rookie of the Year. However, where it lies short at is he's not durable, obviously, or saying I don't know what's going on. Of course, we're talking about Anthony Richardson, in as many as weeks out again with another injury. Of course, he was 9 for 12, 98 yards, 1 sack for a loss of 17 yards. In which Gardner Minshew came in to go 11 for 14, 155 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but all the damage was done in the rushing attack of the Indianapolis Colts, predominantly by Zach Moss, who 23 carries for 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Of course, he had a huge 56-yard break. We did welcome back Jonathan Taylor, who has set the running back market again, getting a huge deal that basically puts him at $14 million a year for a 3-year extension, where it might be. He said it looks good for the running back market. In my opinion, it doesn't look good for the running back market. What looks good for the running back market is if your team values you enough, then you're going to get paid. Christian McCaffrey, paid. Chubb, paid. Now it's Jonathan Taylor, paid. But that's not across the spectrum for these teams. That's because they value their running back. Hell, Usyk gets paid a grip, and he's a fullback, but he's a all pro. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl, multiple Pro Bowl fullback that is used in the San Francisco's offense very in a prolific style to where he gets the ball here and there, or he does certain things. There's been time that Usyk has been the one, or Juice as we call him, has been the one that has basically kept the offensive drive going, whether it's a good block, a nice run, a good catch, or a rumble. It's, San Francisco considered the Yak Boys. So, and that's what he does. So it depends on the institution or the organization, in my opinion. And that's how Jonathan Taylor got paid. He's coming back off his injury. He just in which he had 6 carries for 18 yards. The expectations probably going to work him in. Anthony Richardson, 2 carries for 5 yards. Josh Downs, 6 receptions for 97 yards. Michael Pittman Jr. was 2 for 15 on himself on 7 targets. Zach Moss, 2 catches for 30 yards. Mo Cox was 1 for 17. Jonathan Taylor had 1 for 16 himself. Ogletree and Kyle Granson both had 2 receptions apiece, respectively, both 16 and 15 yards. And of course, like I said earlier, that Anthony Richardson went out again with another injury, this time a shoulder injury, possibly an AC joint tear, in which is going to be, of course, MRIs is going to reveal. And we're going to see, is Gardner Minshew going to get another opportunity to be at the helm of the
Slide, young
team?
man. They didn't tell him slide, man. Learn to slide.
That's not why they brought him
Baseball
there.
hook.
They didn't bring him there to slide.
But you got to slide. Baseball hook. Hey, if you want to play a few more games, you missed you did 2 out of 3, 2 out of 5 games. Like you can't keep that up.
He's played.
Slide,
I,
young
I
man.
think is out of 20 quarters. He's played 12 quarters in 20 and 12 out of 20
Slide.
quarters in his first year. Ryan
You
Tannehill,
gotta
23
slide.
for 34, 264 yards and an interception with a sack. Derrick Henry, 13 carries for 43 yards. Ty J. Spears was 7 for 34 and a touchdown. Tannehill carried the ball twice himself. DeAndre Hopkins, 8 receptions for 140 yards on 11 targets. Ty J. Spears was 4 for 35. Aquanwo, 5 for 33. Trayvon Wesco was 1 for 21. And Derrick Henry, of course, 3 receptions for 19 yards. Lastly, Nick Westbrook had 1 for 9, but it wasn't enough. The Colts walk away with yet another one, 3-2. Who would have thought we were saying that the Colts would be 3-2, 3-2 on the
Hey,
season so far,
that's better
23 to
than
16.
Tennessee. I'm sick of Tennessee. I'm sick of Vrabel and Tennessee. Year after year, y'all do the same thing. Y'all Derrick Henry a bust. Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill ain't won you. Ryan Tannehill ain't won you a meaningful game since he been there. Like it's time to move away from Tannehill. It's time to stop with the same thing over and over. I mean, these guys that come from the New England system, they don't know. They have no imagination of offensive on the offensive side of the ball. No imagination. You see it time and time again. Like there's no imagination. So Tennessee, you're gonna be out of there again because you refuse to get with the new way of, of football. Oh, man, you gotta get some receivers, throw the rock. You know.
So thinking about it, going on with in the tree of Belichick, let's start with the tree itself, the trunk of it. New England. Well, we can't say necessarily yet because McDaniels hasn't played yet. He plays tonight. But when you start with the trunk of it, New England's Mac Jones was 12 for 22, 110 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks for 21 yards. Billy Zapp, 3 for 9, 22 yards. Ramondre Stevenson had 8 carries for 24 yards. Ezekiel Elliott was 8 for 21. That doesn't look too good when you're 1 and 2 are basically same amount of carries, same amount of yards. Ty Montgomery had 1 carry, and Mac Jones had 1 carry. That amounted to 0 yards. Kendrick Bourne was 2 for 43 for 28. 2 for 43. Demario Douglas was 1 for 24. Devontae Parker was 2 for 20. Mike Gesicki, 1 for 17. Ezekiel Elliott, 4 receptions for 17 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, 3 for 16. Montgomery, 1 for 5. And basically, that's where it lies at. New Orleans. I didn't even know Derek Carr was playing. And he didn't even have that much of a game, but Derek Carr was 18 for 26, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns. I am so not a Derek Carr fan. 2 sacks and 15 yards. I don't understand what the all the fuss is with Derek Carr. It's just he was successful in a sense at
We'll get there in a minute.
Las
I was gonna
Vegas.
let you finish the stats first.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara, 22 carries for 80 yards and 1 touchdown. Kendrick Miller, 12 carries for 37. Taysom Hill, 3 for 19. Carr had 2 for 4 himself, and Jameson Winston was 3 for 4. We're going actually when we get to the score, you'll understand how Jameson Winston got in. Michael Thomas, 4 receptions for 65 yards on 7 targets. Kendrick Miller was 4 for 53 on his 4 targets. Rashid Shaheed, 2 for 28. Alvin Kamara, 3 for 17. Chris Olave, 2 receptions for 12 yards and a touchdown. Foster Moreau was 1 for 6. Taysom Hill, 1 for 1. Keith Kirkwood and Jimmy Graham both 1 and the 1 reception. In-state, New Orleans finished the game with a blistering shutout, 34-0. A lot of defensive scoring going on there. I had New Orleans winning the division. But now when I think about it, I don't know. I just don't. In Carr, I do not trust. I don't get it.
I picked them to win the division because I thought it was going to be weak. I still think New Orleans is going to win the division because I think Baker Mayfield going to come back down to earth, and then all you got is Atlanta. And I look at Atlanta. I don't have that much faith in Ritter. I like like I said, I like the running game that they have with Algiers and Robinson. But
Uh-huh.
that's it. That's it. I don't think Ritter is gonna. I don't think Ritter gonna get you there when they start playing for playoff positioning and stuff like that. So I look at New Orleans. That defense is gonna carry them. And as you saw yesterday, Carr just has not to mess it up. Just man, you got to do bare minimum. I think like he had 150 something yards, 180 something yards. He didn't have to do. You don't have to do too much. Like you don't have to, like the Raiders asked him to do way too much. You're not asked to do that on New Orleans right now because you do have a good defense. Um, and the defense not gonna always pick shutouts, but they can keep you in every game. So you just got to do enough not to blow it. And now you got Kamara back. Michael Thomas was like he gonna start playing some better ball. I mean, you got Olave, you got some weapons, but as long as you can get the ball into those guys' hands, man, you don't have nothing to worry about. Um, Now on the other side of that, hey, I'm a huge Bill Belichick guy, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's time to go fishing, man. It's time for Bill Belichick. I mean,
To hang him up.
you know, uh, it's time for him to. As a matter of fact, if he wanted to coach further, if I'm Kraft right now, Mr. Kraft right now, I give him an ultimatum. Either you're gonna coach the squad or you're gonna be GM, but you can't be both no more because neither one of them are working. Like
Hmm.
they not working. They're not working anymore, man. What you doing is just not working. You know what I'm saying? Like he don't have enough talent on the offensive side of the ball. Period. He don't have enough. I mean, the receivers are ridiculous. Your quarterback is ridiculous. Like you got. I like Ramondre Stevenson. He can run the rock. Um, but then you picked up Ezekiel Elliott. That wasn't gonna get you far, man. I don't know what Bill's doing, but his draft, like Christian Gonzalez, is the best thing he did, and that's on defense.
Hmm.
He's done nothing with the offense since Brady has left the building. They've done nothing offensively to wow you. No speed, no, they don't even have a tight end like a Gronk or something that he used to have. It. He don't have any of it. Like Bill Belichick, I think he's a wash. Like either he gonna coach the squad or he gonna be the GM, but I don't think he can do both anymore, man. It's time for him to realize that it's time for New England to do something different. I know loyalty is everything, but no, it's time to move on.
So moving on into talking like we just talking about Atlanta, and if what they could potentially do. Tampa Bay was off this weekend, so Atlanta was one of the other teams in the NFC East. I mean South that was playing. Desmond Ritter, 28 for 37, 329 yards, one touchdown. Not bad at all. Bijan Robinson carried the total the rock 14 times for 46 yards. Algier, 17 for 40. The even attack. Desmond Ritter, of course, carried once for a touchdown with 10 yards on that. Four times for a 10 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, which I think was a waste of a pick at this point. 7 receptions for 87 yards. Drake London, 6 for 78 himself on 9 targets. John Sis was 6 for 67. Matt Collins 2 for 29. Keith Smith 1 for 28. Of course, McCole Pruitt was 1 for 22. B.J. Robinson got 2 catches for 12 yards and a touchdown. Of course, the catch was a pretty highlight. Grabbing it behind the back with one hand and getting the touchdown. Cordero Hodge was 1 for 11 and Scott Miller 2 for 10. When you look at the opposite side of the ball, CJ Stroud 20 for 35, 249 yards, one touchdown, no sacks. Damian Pierce totaled it 20 times for 66 yards. Stroud had one carry for 2 yards. Dalton Schultz led the receivers with 7 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown on 10 targets. Tank Dell 3 for 57. Nico Collins 3 for 39, which goes back to what Snook was saying. Who is he throwing it to? Who the hell is Tank Dell? Robert Woods 3 for 30. Tigo Quartero 1 for 22. John Mechie the third 2 for 20. And Damian Pierce at one reception for 16 yards, which led to a very close game. Something that you don't expect in state when you look at Houston, although they are a professional football team, you just think they have some time to go before they're going to be kept competitive. Uh, the Falcons may not have been the most competitive team they could have played, but they're still someone that is suspected in the hunt to be a playoff squad. The Atlanta Falcons get the dub 21-19 over the Houston Texans. When you look at this game, do you think Stroud could potentially get them to, let's say, at least 500? Do you see that for the Texans?
I don't know, maybe 8 and 9 or something. I think because it's the growing, but I think he's pretty good. Um, I think he's pretty good. Like I said, I think he's the best pick in the draft. Like I think Stroud was the best pick. I just think that the team overall, it's not just gonna be Stroud. The defense let down yesterday when they had the lead. They had the lead 19-18. It could have put that game away with a couple of defensive plays. They weren't able to do it. They let Atlanta go downfield and get in position for the field goal. So I think Stroud gonna do what he can. But I think if D'Amico Ryan can somehow get that defense to play like he had he don't have all the pieces yet, but if he can get them to play a little bit more decent, they'll win. They'll win some games.
Mm. So going on and looking at this Miami team, right? Miami victorious 31-16 over the New York Giants. Of course, New York is, like you said, 1-4 at this point. Daniel Jones, 14 for 20, 119 yards. Tyler Taylor came in 9 for 12 for 86, 7 sacks between the two of them. Lost to 22 yards. Eric Gregg told the Rock 12 times for 25 yards. Daniel Jones was 4 for 24. Tyrod was 3 for 14 on carries, and Matt Breida 9 for 21. As Saquon Barkley still is currently out nursing his injury. Darren Waller 8 receptions on 11 targets for 86 yards. Darius Slade was 2 for 35. Paris Campbell 2 for 23. A huge drop off. Wandale Robinson 5 for 18 on 6 targets. Sterling Shepard 1 for 13. Daniel Bellinger 1 for 7, and Matt Breida 1 for 3. When you go to the upper side of the spectrum, Tua Tagovailoa 22 for 30, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions and a sack for 6 yards loss. Devon Akane 11 for 151 on 1 touchdown. Raheem Mostert 10 carries for
I
65
dropped him
yards
from my fantasy a few weeks ago. I was like, I'm
and a
sick.
touchdown. Massa, I didn't want to play. I didn't want to mess with Massa because I wasn't sure because I didn't know who Arcane was, and then I tried to get Arcane, and then that didn't work out, and then so Massa was gone. So I mean, the Tua, of course, was 2 for 26. Tyreek Hill 8 receptions, 181 yards. 8 seems to be the magic number. 181 yards, 1 touchdown on 9 receptions. Cedric Wilson Jr. 4 receptions for 52 yards. Jalen Waddle, as he comes back off his concussion, 5 for 35 and a touchdown. Kane 1 for 14. Monster 2 for 13. And Braxton Berrios 2 for 13 as well. In state, like I said, 31-16. Additionally, Chase Claypool has been added to the Dolphins wide receiver room. Do we see a possibility where he's going to be more engaged and they're going to be used as, saying he basically talked his way out of Chicago after Chicago gave up what they gave to get him and pair him with Moore. Now Claypool on his 3rd team in, I think, 5 years. Not looking too good for Claypool. But any state, it could be a turnaround point. He's now somewhere where he might be able to work the intermediates and work, I think he's ahead of chosen now in the pecking order. What do you think about this Miami team?
Man, I think they're good for the regular season. They're gonna break every regular season record that you ever seen. But I still think they're gonna fall short of Super Bowl. I think they're gonna fall short. I think playoffs. I don't even think they're gonna get out of the first round, to be honest. And like wild card round or whatever, unless unless they get home field and they miss and they get that first bye. That's gonna be as far as they go in the divisional round. I think they done. And the reason why I say that is because um, I'm sticking to what I told you. I saw what the Bills did to them. I saw what the New England Patriots. Even though the Patriots lost the game, when you hit Speed don't want to get hit. Tyreek and the boys don't want to take no hits. So when you jam them at the line, when you got linebackers bumping them at the line of scrimmage and stuff like that, they don't want any parts of that. So I think when you hit them, it changes the whole game. So I think in the playoffs, teams are going to be coming to hit. As it get closer to playoff time, period, when teams jocking, it comes down to who wants it more. And I can see Miami, just a finesse team right now, beat you with speed. That'll work somewhat, but it's not going to be a winning formula to win. If that was the case, the Raiders would have won every Super Bowl back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. So now when you look at it, the Jets and the Broncos face off yesterday. Zach Wilson, 19 for 26, 199 yards, and an interception, 4 sacks, so a negative 26 yards. Brees Hall getting back to what he was when he left, presumably 22 carries for 177 yards and a touchdown. Zach Wilson had 3 carries for 26 yards himself. Dalvin Cook, 6 carries for 23 yards, and Michael Carter was 1 of 8 on the Tyler Conklin had 4 receptions for 67 yards on 5 targets. Garrett Wilson seemed to be regressing, understandably so. 3 for 54. Alan Lazard, 3 for 33 himself. Brees Hall got 3 receptions for 17 yards. Additionally, Michael Carter contributed with 3 for 14. CJ Uzuma, 2 for 12. And Jeremy Ruckert was 1 of 2 in that, like I said, 199 yards passing for Zach Wilson. Russell Wilson, who I think he may be another one of those time to put out and usher in a new era. 20 for 31 for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns, 4 sacks for 27 yards. Jaleel McLaughlin's 9 carries for 68 yards, not bad. Russell contributed with 49 yards on 7 carries. Samaje Perine, 6 for 22, in which Samaje led the receiving with 4 receptions for 73 yards. Jerry Jeudy, 6 for 50 yards on 7 receptions. Adam Trotman was 4 for 26 with a touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin was 3 for 21 and a touchdown. Cortland Sutton, 1 reception for 13 yards, and Brandon Johnson contributed with 1 for 9. As the Jets was able to slay the beast and Sean Payton and all that talking he was doing about that, Nathaniel Hackett, and how he had the worst coaching job in NFL history in the 1 year he was with
Serves him
Denver.
right. Serves him right. I'm not a. Hey, look, I am not a Sean Payton fan. When he was
Oh,
with New Orleans, I thought when he was with New Orleans, I thought he was
okay.
overrated. I just think that, hey, I'm not saying that he don't have nothing on the offensive side, but he's never put like New Orleans always had a good offense, but never a good defense, and it shows that he doesn't care about defense. He reminds me of for me, he was like a Mike D'Antoni, except the difference, Mike D'Antoni basketball, who just cares about offense, not
Mm-hmm.
defense, not worrying about hey the other side of the ball matters too, and it shows again and again with the Sean Payton teams. That's why he won 1 Super Bowl, which I still think that was like you say the scripts. Hey, he won a Super Bowl right after Hurricane Katrina, and they ain't been nothing since. I mean, think about that. Think about that. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like Sean Payton, he's not that guy, and I think they overpaid for him. They overpaid. I think Denver way overpaid for him. Like he making like 20 million a year to put out 1-4. So what does that tell you? Worse than Hackett. Worse than what Hackett started. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I
And
mean?
it will amount to the Jets getting a 31-21 victory and walking off, of course, game ball given to Hackett. And now, I'm saying, and of course, Sean Payton gets a nice big keeping dose of humble pie in the case of that. What's good? We want to hit you up, brother. What's going on, man? How you feeling, fam? Um, Going on, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. Like this is a team when I look at it, bro, it's another one of the ones that you look at them and you be like, okay, and then okay becomes what? Lamar Jackson, 22 for 38, 236 yards, 1 interception, 4 sacks for 26 yards. Gus Edwards, 12 for 48. Lamar carried the ball 6 times for 45 yards. Justin Hill, 7 for 32 and a touchdown. However, Zay Flowers to put on a show 5 receptions, 73 yards on 11 targets. Not the best. Mark Andrews, 6 for 65 yards on 10 targets. Not great either. Nelson Aguilar, 4 for 64 on 5 targets. Okay. Odell Beckham, 2 receptions for 13 yards on 4 targets. Justin Hill, 4 for 13, and Rashad Bateman, 1 of 8 on 3 targets. Horrible receiving stats, in my opinion. When you go to the other side of the spectrum, Kenny Pickett, 18 for 32, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 sacks for 22 yards lost. Jalen Warren, 9 carries for 40 yards. Najee Harris, 14 for 37. Najee is starting to fall off and is starting to wonder if he was even a value pick. George Pickens had one rush for 16 yards. Pickett, a -6 in 6 carries. But Pickens on the other side of the ball, 6 receptions for 130. On the passing side of the ball, 6 receptions for 130 yards and a touchdown on 10 targets. Jalen Warren, 3 for 39. Allen Robinson, the second, not forgotten exactly, 4 targets, 5 receptions, 29 yards. Connor Hayward was 3 for 23, and Najee Harris, 1 for 3. But insight is Pittsburgh was victorious by the score of 17-10. A game in which you thought Baltimore would have. We had since signing his contract. Lamar Jackson hasn't been that Lamar Jackson that got him the MVP. Well, I mean, it's only a little removed. He hasn't been that guy since he got the MVP award. Actually, you know what? I think what's really missing in Baltimore and why Lamar Jackson isn't as effective as he was when he got the MVP, they're missing a rushing game. They can't seem to keep none of their running backs are healthy. Gus Edwards, Justin Hill, J.K. Dobbins, like they keep going through running backs. They come up, they start playing, and then they're injured.
No, I watched that game yesterday. Actually, like I'm in Iowa, so certain games I get, and but I got that game, and I watched that game, and they did everything to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers except for win by the final score. And the difference in that game was all the drop passes. I mean, Lamar could only put the ball on the spot. They had 5 or 6 drop passes, and not only that, a couple of them was drops in the end zone. Like Bateman and Bateman flat out beat his guy. He's dropping passes in the end zone. I didn't want to say my bad. What's his name? Nelson Aguilar, another one. Burned the man up the sideline, beat the coverage, whatever. The ball's on the money, goes right through his hands, man. Hey, that was all. Like once they started catching the ball, if they start catching the ball, it'll be different. Now, I know at the end of the game, I had a complaint with the whole, like they had a chance to put Pittsburgh away with a touchdown. I think, it was like whatever, the 8-10 to 8 or whatever. They scored a touchdown and they kicked the field goal. They're up by 9. And it's hard for Pittsburgh to come back. So what happens is they call a pass play when I'm like, you got Lamar Jackson, man. If that's not the time to run that little option read play or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then what time is it in a game, in a divisional game? And he just threw a lazy pass. I guess he thought Odell Beckham was going to beat the guy or something. But anyway, it was just an easy interception for Joey Porter Jr. But I just want to say this. Mike Tomlin is another one that I said yesterday. It might be time for him and Bill to hang it up. And even though Pittsburgh got the win, their offense is pathetic. I saw this clip where that touchdown pass that they threw up the sideline. That was not a part of their offense. That was something that the quarterback decided to do on his own. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, the offensive coordinator was not happy. If you look at the offensive coordinator after that play, he should have been celebrating. Oh, we won a game. He was pissed. Excuse my language, but he was mad. You know what I'm saying? He was mad because Pickett pulled a Willie Beeman. I'm just going to go off script because what you running ain't working. You know what I'm saying? And like Najee Harris, man, Warren changed that game for them in the backfield. He should run more. And that's why I say Tomlin, it goes on Tomlin, man. It's time to do something with that Matt Canada or whatever. Trying to get him out the way and run a more dynamic offense. Like he don't want to come off, like he don't want to change. Those dinosaurs right now that don't want to change, they're going to be left behind, man. It's like, props to the defense for Pittsburgh for keeping them in the game. Props to T.J. Watt for closing the game out. But Ravens side of the ball, if they catch the ball, they'll win games, Trey.
It's a couple of more games left before we get up out of here. Joe Burrow finally, I guess, decided to show up to the ball game. 36 for 46, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. However, 3 sacks for a -30. Joe Mixon carried the ball 25 times for 81 yards. Burrow contributed 4 carries for 7. Trevion Williams contributed with 1 for 5. Jamar Chase, however, eclipsed the magic number of 8. He had 15 receptions for 192 yards plus 3 touchdowns on 19 targets. Trenton Irwin was 8 for 60 on 10. Tyler Boyd 6 for 39 on 7. As we know, he's picking up the slack. Joe Mixon was 4 for 13. Andrew Evesias was 1 and 9. Kwame Ladisier to second was 1 and 2, and Chase Brown 1 of 2 himself for the receiving core. Joshua Dobbs on the other side of the ball, 15 for 32, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks for a negative 14 yards. You might see a situation when Dobbs is coming back down to earth. Rondell Moore was 3 carries for 50 yards. James Conner rushed the ball 6 times for 46 yards. DeMarcado's 10 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. Joshua Dobbs carried it 3 times for a yard. Marquise Brown, 4 receptions, 61 yards and a touchdown. Rondell Moore was 3 for 26. Zach Ertz, 2 catches for 10 yards and a touchdown. Amari Mercado was 1 for 12. Trey McBride, 2 for 17. Michael Wilson was 1 for 18. Last but not least, Jeff Swain, 2 for 22. In-state is Cincinnati gets the dub 34-20 in a must-win game. I think it was for them to continue to keep pace in some sense, although I'm not sure if they can pull it back out to get back into contention. What's good, Courtney? Glad to have you formation with us. Good morning, blessing to you this morning too, brother. Cincinnati, do you think is Burrow going to be back on track, or you think that was just the competition they played in Arizona?
I think they gonna come back, and I think they probably gonna end up winning that division.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I think Baltimore cost themselves majorly yesterday, and like I said, Pittsburgh they don't have enough offense to really do anything. You can't keep winning ugly like that, like in today's league. So I think Joe Burrow, I think he figured it out. Like I think the offensive line, if that offensive line can give him a little bit of time, then they gonna win that division.
so 3 more games, 2 played, 1 in waiting. Philadelphia, of course. The conversation is being that they're not who they were. Of course, they lost a lot when they lost a lot in defense on the offensive side of the ball. They lost a few weapons, and then of course they lost both the offensive and defensive coordinator for their team. But yet the Eagles continue to be able to pull out wins, ugly wins in my opinion, but they're pulling them out. In this game, Jalen Hurts 25 for 38, 303 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, as well as a sack that cost him 8 yards. He carried the ball 15 times for 72 yards and a touchdown, surpassing Mike Vick as far as in the Philadelphia Eagles records. DeAndre Swift 17 carries for 70 yards on his. Kenneth Gainwell carried the ball 7 times for 17 yards. A.J. Brown, 6 receptions for 127 yards. Additionally, Dallas Goedert contribute with 117 yards on 8 receptions and 1 touchdown. DeAndre Swift contributes 6 for 38. Kenneth Gainwell, Devontae Adams, and Jack Stroll all with 1 reception apiece. Gainwell 7 yards. Devontae Smith 6, and Jack Stowe 4, and last but not least, Quez Watkins with 2 receptions for 4 yards. That interesting stack with Devontae Smith. I guess they just had him locked in, and Goddard and Brown were the go-to. Matthew Stafford welcoming back his man, the Cooper Kupp, 21 for 37, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 sacks for 27 yards. Lost, however, Kyron Williams, 13 carries for 53 yards. Ronnie Rivers was 1 for 1. Cooper Kupp in his debut, 8 receptions for 118 yards. I'm sure that's going to get better. They have more. He has more help now. Puka Nacua back to earth, 7 receptions for 7 yards. However, he did get a touchdown. Tyler Higbee was 2 for 20. Tutu Atwell, a touchdown off of 2 receptions and 9 receiving yards. And last but not least, Kyron Williams, 2 for 4 receiving. With Kupp coming back, do you think that and then with of course Atwell and Nakua, do you see brighter days for the Los Angeles Rams?
Yeah, because of who they coach is. I said it before on
Okay.
him, man. McVay is the truth. I just think that they may like their problem is going to be they division other than the
Uh-huh.
Cardinals. But other than that, I think they can win some games. They've been right there. They've been competitive. Yesterday, you saw what happened. The Eagles if it wasn't for like that little having to push
The
at
tush
the end
push.
zone,
Hmm.
you know, it makes a whole difference. Like it makes a difference. I think they competitive. I think he's gonna keep them competitive, and I think that their offense is gonna be much better. But they still got to figure out a running game, man. They don't have no running. Like that's the only thing McVay is lacking right now is like just somebody that could be a threat where they can run some play action and stuff. Mix it up.
And then, of course, when you look at Jalen Hurts, there's been conversations. And speaking of, is that like you said, he's winning games. Obviously, with his legs yesterday, the 72 yards helped them because they was coming up on third down plays in which the defense was doing their thing and kind of holding him, but he's now going and recognizing that he doesn't see what he wants to see, and he takes off, which is a plus when you look at it, especially when you have a quarterback who has the ability to run and get up the field, absorb some hits. So, but again, like I was saying, I don't know how much longer you can continue to do that before it comes through. He might be able to get away from it, but at some point he's going to start to run into a buzzsaw as you get later
Yeah.
on.
For me, the Eagles and the 49ers are the two top teams in the NFC, and they both the thing that they have in common is they can win any style of game.
Hmm.
Uh, Specifically the physical game. Like as long as the Eagles can get physical with you, that's why they win in games because when all else fails, they try they plays, they try different stuff. But when that don't work, they just line up and say, "We coming right at you. Stop
Hmm.
it. Can you stop us coming right at you?" And nobody's been able to stop them yet this year when they come right at you. So I think they got a chance as long as they keep that mentality. They don't. As a matter of fact, isn't it their offensive coordinator is the head coach at in Indianapolis, right? At the Colts,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, they're over here.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah, and you see
That's why
how
we see so much going on with Richardson, like using them. Yeah,
you see the Colts, but the Colts running right at you. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So Philly has that mentality that as long as they keep running at you, defensively they more physical than most teams that they gonna face. As long as you have that, then man, they gonna be right there when it comes down to the end. I hate to say it since my team in that division, but it's like the Eagles, no drop off to me as far as their original plan, which is
Okay.
to win games.
And Cornelius just said, his team is in that division. I know this could be a little of a sore spot, but yesterday the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not gonna say Dak's not it. I won't say that yet, but he said, like he said himself, this was a very humbling game. It's just so happened came at my 49ers. Dak Prescott 14 for 24, 153 yards passing, one touchdown. However, three interceptions with three sacks on 13 yards lost. Cooper Rush came in 2 for 2, 8 yards, a one sack for -8. Tony Pollard really didn't get a chance to get off. 8 carries for 29 yards yesterday. Rico Dowd contribute 5 for 15. Deuce Vaughn 3 for 7. Brandon Cooks got an opportunity to rush 1 of 6. 1 for 6 yards. Dak one was carried for 2 yards. And Cooper Rush 1 for -2. CD Lamb, it was just a clinic, honestly, when you look at it. CD Lamb, 4 receptions for 49 yards yesterday on 5 targets. Tony Pollard, 4 for 35 for 5 targets. Jake Ferguson, 3 for 28. Vontae Turpin was the one bright spot, one reception for 26 yards, in which he scored on, of course, the speed. You cannot teach speed. He blew past Wilson, and it was over there. Michael Gallup, 2 receptions for 15 yards. Brandon Cooks 1 for 7, Deuce Vaughn 1 for 1 for the Dallas offense. San Francisco, Brock Purdy came out 17 for 24, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 in which went to the tight end, one sack of a loss of 2, completely negated the superpowers of the defense that we have done. Maybe it might have been a little because Trayvon Diggs was there to kind of lock down both sides of the field between Gilmore and Diggs. Jordan Mason, 10 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, 19 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown, extending his streak of 14 consecutive touchdowns since he's become a 49er, 14 consecutive games. Debo Samuels with 5 carries for 30 yards. Tyrion Davis Price with 6 for 21. Sam Darnold had 1 rush for a negative 1 yards. George Kittle, as we stated, 3 receptions, 67 yards, 3 touchdowns. For almost every time he touched the ball was 6 on 4 targets. Brandon Ayuk, probably the new number 1 receiver that's playing the number 2 spot. 4 receptions for 58 yards. Debo Samuels, 3 receptions for 55 yards. Christian McCaffrey added 2 receptions for 27 yards. Kyle Juszczyk, 4 receptions for 26 yards. And a touchdown. Jawan Jennings, 1 for 19. Ray McLeod, the third, 1 reception for 1 yard. In state, it all amounts to the San Francisco 49ers walking away with a 42-10 victory to remain 5-0. Currently, one of 2 teams undefeated in the NFL. And probably top in the power rankings when it comes to NFL teams across all spectrums. As a Cowboy fan, what was it that you saw last night? Was it one off?
What I saw was the same old Cowboys, man. Same old Cowboys. I mean, I'm a Cowboy fan through and through, but in big games, I see the same thing, the pattern over and over. And when Dak gets that look, when he looking up at the board or whatever he's looking at, you know the look I'm talking about. He
Yeah.
has it all the time. It's like, oh, we in trouble. You know what I mean? We in trouble. And he had that look from the beginning. My thing is, man, the 49ers just came out and man, they were more physical. They were the tougher team. I think some of that talk about the Dallas defense being this defense made Warner and them dudes, Warner and Bosa and them dudes like, nah, we the top dogs, and they came out and proved it. It was nothing that for the Cowboy side of things, I was disappointed in early in the game. I thought we had a chance, but the defense kept getting all those penalties. The undisciplined
J.
play,
Ryan curse, man. He's killing y'all.
the undisciplined play, you know, from the offsides to the personal fouls, you know, all that stuff, man, that said that, hey, you know what, we aggressive, but in the wrong ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, when I looked at it from a like, they didn't fill not one gap, and I'm sick of Michael Parsons he got a podcast where he be talking. The young man seems to know football except for when it's time for him to get out there and play in these meaningful games. Uh, he did absolutely nothing yesterday. He's supposed to be defensive player of the year caliber and all that, but he did absolutely nothing. He was always out of position. Every single time he was out of position, like running up the field. It's like, hey, hone. It's like they got to learn to hone that aggression, like the way the 49ers. You saw trained aggression on one side, and you saw undisciplined aggression on the other side. And outside of that, man, you saw what the Dallas Cowboys want to be someday as far as able to, you know what I mean? I don't blame Dak for that loss because those interceptions came when you was trying to get back in the game. So I don't blame Dak for the loss. I thought that, like I said early on, remember it was 21 and it was 21-7, and then it was 21-10. That's what swung the game right there to me is when the defense came and let it 21-10. We get a little momentum, but then we get a stop. It should have been a stop on third down, remember? But then the personal foul when they hit
Yeah.
Wilson or whatever hit McCaffrey and
Yeah.
laid McCaffrey out, and that personal
And
foul
then
right there kept the
and the
drive
personal foul,
alive,
yeah.
and then before you know it, it's 28-10. It's like it's nothing you can do. Like man, I hope we can get it together before the playoff time, before playoff time. And you already knew our struggles on offense. We got to do something with the running back situation as far as we can't get physical. Um, I think Dotto's a little bit more physical than what's his name, Pollard. We don't have a physical running back. We don't have a physical running back like they can just hand the ball to him and he can run somebody over, or you know what I'm saying, or wear the other team down. It's like the 49ers was fresh the whole game. That defense was fresh the whole game, man. I don't know. I mean, what else can you say about it other than the Cowboys? We still not ready. You know what I mean? We just not ready. You
And
guys
what?
played. Hey Trey, you guys played man to man most of the damn game. Excuse my language. Excuse my language. But y'all play. Hey, CeeDee Lamb, all that talk couldn't get open. You ain't see him talking last night. You ain't see
Yeah,
the talk. You know what I mean?
and what?
And Michael Gallup is done, man. Michael Gallup is washed. It's time to look for some other receivers. That guy's done.
And so when you're looking at it, what it trips me out is how whenever, especially on a big play, like a score play or what I'm saying, a big gash or something like that, how all the players look out at the screen to be like, what the hell happened? You know what just happened. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what just happened. And then something else that gave me a little pause is as I looked at when Dak threw that interception and he going off the field like smiling, and it's like at this point it's like
Right.
what is saying going through your head. But like you said, it was a very humbling experience. Of course, last but not least, to end out the week, we talked about a little bit at the beginning, the Packers and the Raiders. 1-3 Las Vegas Raiders against the 2-2 Packers. Aaron Jones coming back as he's been negated a little bit due to a hamstring injury. Josh Jacobs back in the fold, opportunity to push. Devontae Adams and Crosby have gone on and stated that they wonder what they're doing. So we'll see if them coming out and talking is going to do anything. I don't know if Garoppolo has passed concussion protocol and is going to be a starter, or will they get O'Connell again? Jordan Love is going to, of course, be at the helm for him. Dobbs has been Romeo Dobbs has been a blessing in disguise as well. So in this game, who are you going with? Is it Jordan Love or are you going with Las Vegas?
It's Green Bay.
Green Bay.
It's Green Bay. Like, yeah, I see Green Bay winning this game just because no faith in the Raiders, man. None whatsoever. I don't think the Raiders have faith that they can win. They already talking. When the players start talking, you know, Devontae Adams talking, what's the running back, Jacobs talking. Like when
Jacob.
they start talking, when they start speaking out, yeah, they're in trouble.
So, of course, a little over our time, but that's fine. When it's yours, you get to do what it is. Greatly appreciate those who tapped in and was watching this morning. Of course, uh, as I get back into it, getting a steady schedule, then, of course, y'all see more and more. And hopefully, have more people on and some added nuances. So, again, I greatly appreciate having, Cornelius on this morning to be able to talk to him offline when we drop off here. Cornelius, any things before we get ready to get up out of here, bro?
Yeah, I'll be back soon. About 2 weeks, the
Okay.
Die Hard Fan Show will be back. Other than that, thanks for having me on, man.
Oh yes, of course, of course. So y'all know what it is. First information, trade the commish. The people's coach, Cornelius. Y'all I will catch y'all. Y'all know, put that notification on so you tap in. If you were not following on those platforms, are saying YouTube, correction. Yes, YouTube, first formation. Sometimes it just pop up and do on live spots. So you never know. So that way you don't miss the content. Look forward to holler at y'all. I should be back on tomorrow. Talk about last night's game. I'm very sure it'll be some more stuff. NBA, like I said, is getting ready to go. So the content is coming. And so more is coming. Appreciate y'all. Peace. Enjoy y'all's day.